Chapter 2497. Siekiru already knew about the heavenly law Tao orthodoxy. Mu Yu and a group of mysterious people firmly believe that Qin Yun will be killed by the heavenly law Tao orthodoxy, just like what was written in the heavenly law Tao orthodoxy. But Siekiru doesn't believe it at all, so she has been secretly helping Qin Yun, hoping to help him escape. Over the years, Siekiru has watched Qin Yun grow to this stage, so she believes that Qin Yun will definitely be able to reverse his fate. Sister Kiru, my parents went to a place. They said that place has my lifeline and they must go to let me live. Where is that place? Qin Yun asked. How did they know about that place? You don't need to worry about this matter, they are very safe now. Siekiru seems to know a bit. She got up and paced back and forth a few steps and said, they must have obtained some clues while working in the heavenly law pawnshop. How did they obtain the clues? Could it be that someone in the heavenly law pawnshop deliberately leaked the information to them? Qin Yun said with frown. Could it be a trap? The heavenly law pawnshop is very mysterious. It is also on the heavenly divine moon. Qin Yun is about to enter the heavenly law pawnshop for a meeting. Although it has not started yet, he can already foresee that a fierce conflict will erupt. After all, he and the heavenly divine emperors are fighting for control of the heavenly law pawnshop. Siekiru said, Xiao Yun, the reason why you can live until now is because the previous heavenly Tao interfered and secretly changed your fate. It's mainly because the former heavenly Tao interfered and secretly altered the trajectory of your destiny. That's why you have such a huge deviation. Qin Yun nodded and said, in that case, when my parents were in the heavenly law pawnshop, they must have come into contact with the previous heavenly Tao's instructions. Yes, so it is not strange that your parents know where your lifeline is. Siekiru said. The formation of the heavenly law pawnshop was single-handedly facilitated by the previous heavenly Tao. This was originally not part of the heavenly law Tao orthodoxy, and the internal structure of the pawnshop is very mysterious. The pawnshop's ability is very strong, it exceeds many people's imagination and is very difficult to control. Qin Yun knows that the heavenly law pawnshop's formation is very special. Therefore, if the sovereigns of all heavens cannot control the heavenly law pawnshop, it will be destroyed. Siekiru said, Xiao Yun, you don't have any connection with the heavenly law pawnshop, right? Are they going to destroy the heavenly law pawnshop? Qin Yun promptly took out a key. This key was given to him by heavenly Tao Zi. He said that it can open the secret room inside the heavenly Tao pawnshop. If the venerable sovereigns can't control the pawnshop, they will certainly destroy it. Those guys think that the heavenly Tao pawnshop is the root cause of the deviation in your fate. Siekiru looked at the key in Qin Yun's hand and asked, what is this? Tian Daozi gave it to me. He said that it can open a secret room inside the heavenly Tao pawnshop. As Qin Yun spoke, he took out 2 more heavenly Tao blood tokens and told Siekiru about the meeting at the heavenly Tao pawnshop. After listening, Siekiru's complexion became somewhat dignified. She said, sure enough, they are very accurate. They know that the heavenly law pawnshop is closely related to you. Looks like this will be a fierce battle. If the heavenly law pawnshop descends upon the divine moonland, what kind of convenience will it bring them? Qin Yun said. The divine moonland is far away from the divine desolate. It is difficult for the myriad realms' divine sun to take care of it. Therefore, it is most suitable for them to destroy the heavenly law pawnshop here. Siekiru said. If it was in the divine desolate, then once Qin Yun controls the heavenly law pawnshop, he can control it to fly into the heavenly sword formation. Then what should I do? Don't tell me I don't care about the heavenly law pawnshop? Qin Yun looked at the key in his hand. He has no intention of giving up. Don't be afraid. After you go out, talk to Shang Yun. Tell her that you want to take down the heavenly law pawnshop. Siekiru took out a white jade token. This square token has a half moon in the middle. She handed over the token to Qin Yun and said, This is the divine moon token. Xiangyun has another one in her hand. After these two tokens are combined, they can form a full moon. They can control the divine moon of heavens to release the strongest divine power and send the heavenly law pawnshop away. Then, will it cause any harm to you? Qin Yun is very worried. If we use it normally, we don't need to combine the two tokens. We can still borrow a portion of the divine moon's divine power. But this time is different, so we need two tokens to borrow the strongest power of the divine moon. Xie said with smile, "We will be fine. But the next time we use it, we will have to wait more than 1,000 years. Qin Yun is still not at ease and said, "This is very important to you." Xie shook her head. "It's not important. Divine Moon Clan and Guanghan Palace are now inside the Heavenly Sword formation. They are very safe. We don't really need this token." Alright. Qin Yun also stored the token and decided not to use it as much as possible. Don't not use it. You must use it. If they are determined to destroy the heavenly law pawnshop, their might will be very strong. Xie saw through Qin Yun's intention with a glance. Qin Yun stored the token and asked, "Sister Kiru, didn't you collect Nether Sun spirits before? I also have Sun Seed now, shouldn't we create a sun?" Soon after, he talked about how his 9 Sun Divine Soul has Divine Universe Purple Sun, Heavenly Universe Divine Sun and Primal Chaos Divine Sunday. Next, we will create a small Nether Sun, as well as 2 Sun embryos. After you go out, let Sushin cooperate with you. Through Passion Gemini Heavenly Rune, create White Divine Sunday. As for the other Sun embryo, use it to create Myriad Realms Divine Sun. Xie said. Does the 9 Sun Divine Soul have different Divine Suns? Qin Yun is somewhat excited, he said with smile. What if there are 9 different Divine Suns? I also don't know. Xie said with gentle smile. So we will have to wait until we create them. Come, give me the Sun Seed. Qin Yun now has 4 Sun Seeds. Later, both Heavenly Universe Divine Sun and Divine Universe Purple Sun will be able to give birth to Sun Seed. Qin Yun gave the 4 Sun Seeds to Xie. Xie placed the Sun Seed inside her 9 Sun Divine Soul and said, "I have prepared for a very long time. Now I only lack your Sun Seed and 9 Sun Divine Soul." Then she tightly held Qin Yun's hand. 9 Yin Divine Soul and 9 Sun Divine Soul appeared and turned black and white. Qin Yun's 9 Sun Divine Soul turned white and Xie 9 Yin Divine Soul turned black. Now each of the pearls released a white light thread and connected with each other. 9 Sun Divine Soul and 9 Yin Divine Soul were created by Qin Yun in the past, but he doesn't know much about these two things. Especially now, with the evolution of 9 Yin and 9 Sun Divine Soul, he is even more confused about how they work. Xiao Yun released the Nether Sun. Xie said. Qin Yun released his Nether Sun. It has already transformed into a Tao image, and has now been transferred into the 9 Yin Divine Soul by Xie. My Nether Sun Tao image has not transformed into sacred heavenly Tao image. I am now cultivating the divine Moon Tao image. Just a bit more and it will evolve. Qin Yun said. No rush. Wait until I help you create a Nether Sun and place it inside the 9 Sun Divine Soul. Your Nether Sun Tao image will evolve even faster. Xie said with smile. Xie has been creating a divine sun inside the 9 Yin Divine Soul. The previous work has already been completed. Only the follow-up Sun Seed and 9 Sun Divine Soul is missing. This is also the reason why Xie is always running around everywhere. It is mainly to help Qin Yun create a Sunday, really. Qin Yun doesn't believe it, he said with smile. Sister Kiru, how strong can the Nether Sun you created be? It must be a small Nether Sun. Xiao Yun, don't look down on Sister Kiru. Xie said with charming smile. The Nether Sun I created is very strong. I have been preparing for it for many years. My 9 Sun Divine Soul's Divine Universe Purple Sun, Primal Chaos Divine Son and Heavenly Universe Divine Son, I don't know how to improve them. I always felt that it would be very difficult for them to grow up, Qin Yun said with sigh. Take your time. Xiao Yun, I have already transferred 2 sun embryos into your 9 sun divine soul, Xie Qiru said. To create White Divine Sun and Myriad Worlds Divine Sun? If Myriad Worlds Divine Sun appears in my 9 sun divine soul, what kind of benefits will there be? Qin Yun asked. It will allow you to have an even closer relationship with Myriad Worlds Divine Sun. As for other uses, I am not too sure. You can dig it yourself. The Divine Suns in Qin Yun's 9 Sun Divine Soul can only be considered as small Divine Suns, their power is limited. But when they grow to Great Divine Sun, it means that he can control the power of 9 different Divine Suns. It is indeed very dreadful. He opened his heavenly eye and looked at Xie Qiru's luck. There is no reaction from her body. It means that her luck will not have any change during this period of time. Xiao Yun, are you using your heavenly eye to see through me? You are becoming more and more naughty. Did that naughty girl Yuelon teach you? No. Qin Yun hastily explained. I am looking at your luck. I learned it from Imperial Heaven Divine Art. Imperial Heaven Divine Art? What kind of evil technique is this? You can even look at luck? Xie Qiru said with frown. Soon after, Qin Yun told Xie Qiru about how he used this technique, as well as his experience with the Imperial Fate-changing technique. Hearing this, Xie Qiru exclaimed in admiration again and again. Moreover, she does not believe that this is true because manipulating and seeing through a person's fate has always been the pursuit of many experts. Even the former Heavenly Tao had to make a lot of arrangements to change a person's fate. It was not that easy. Sister Qiru, you also don't know about this technique of Imperial Heaven Divine Art? Qin Yun is rather surprised. He thought that Xie Qiru knew everything. This Imperial Heaven Divine Art is very strange. It might be something you comprehended after fusing with Imperial Heaven Diagram and Imperial Heaven Heart. Xie Qiru exclaimed in admiration and said, not to mention that you alone can foresee other people's fate, you can also easily interfere. This is indeed very Imperial Heaven. Don't tell me that only I can master the Imperial Heaven Divine Art? Qin Yun said in astonishment. I thought someone left this technique behind. Then what about the Imperial Heart and the Imperial Heavenly Diagram? Chapter 2498. Qin Yun caressed Xie Qiru's face and said with some sadness, Sister Qiru, you can't go out. How are you going to find your mother? How long are you going to be sealed? Is it really Mother Moon who sealed you? Don't worry, I am fine here. Nothing will happen to me. Xie Qiru said with smile. You also said before that Mother Moon sealed me for my own good. Qin Yun curled his lips and said, It is for your own good. But I carefully thought about it. Mother Moon would never do such a thing. He looked all around and said again, If Mother Moon truly sealed you, you would not be in this kind of environment. This small building is inside an ice mountain, and the environment outside the ice mountain is very vile. It might even be filled with danger. Although Qin Yun doesn't know much about Mother Moon, he knows that she loves Xie Qiru very much. Thinking about it carefully, he feels that Mother Moon would not seal Xie Qiru in this kind of place. Even if she is sealed in this kind of place, there should be enough divine moon power for Xie Qiru to absorb and cultivate. Xiao Yun, why are you becoming more and more difficult to deceive? Xie Qiru said with smile. Don't ask too much, I am living very well here. After you go out, just do your job properly, don't worry about me, I will be able to leave very soon. Qin Yun also did not speak about this matter again. Xie Qiru is deliberately hiding things from him. He won't be able to get any information out of her. However, he must find out why Xie Qiru is trapped here. If she could leave, she would have already left. The situation outside is changing very quickly. Moreover, heavenly venerables are a great threat to Qin Yun. She is in a hurry to leave because she wants to help Qin Yun. Xie has indeed made ample preparations. She very quickly helped Qin Yun create a small nether sundae. This small nether sun is very small, it looks like a small black ball, it doesn't have any power. So small. Qin Yun looked at the small nether sun slowly coming out of the 9 divine soul. It is small for now, but it will grow up very quickly in the future. Remember to use the 9 sun divine soul to absorb the divine power of myriad realms divine suns and use it to feed the small nether sun. Xie said with smile. Can I use divine universe golden stones to feed them? Qin Yun asked. He also had some divine universe golden stones in his hands, and he could obtain more in the future. Of course you can. If you have a large amount of divine universe golden stones to feed my divine son, that would be very good. Xie smiled tenderly and said, Xiaoyun, did you use some method to obtain a large number of divine universe goldstones? Qin Yun explained the situation of the divine moon of the heavens. The divine moon of the heavens could produce many divine universe goldstones, and the bright moon sect possessed many of them. So the divine moon of the heavens has become like this. This is a good thing. Xie said in surprise. I wonder if a large amount of divine universe goldstones will appear in divine desolate in the future. Sister Kiru, do you know about the matter regarding the partial yang soul? Qin Yun asked. I'm not too sure about that. It's probably something released after the myriad worlds divine sun transformation realm evolved. Xie shook her head. She has already helped Qin Yun create a nether sun and 2 yang embryos. Her 9 divine soul will also continue to make preparations. Next time, she will create a divine sun with Qin Yun. Soon after, Qin Yun took out the bloodline heavenly rune box and placed it on a table. Xie walked over and took a look. She realized that this is the bloodline heavenly rune box and said in amazement, Xiaoyun, you actually obtained so many. This was given to me by Princess Luo. She is also the 9 heavens goddess. Qin Yun said. She actually gave you such important bloodline heavenly rune. Back then, she was a very selfish person who only cared about profit. But she has changed a lot in this life. Xie said in surprise. This one was given to me by the Purple Sun Fairy Emperor, and this one was obtained by swindling the White Sun Fairy Emperor. Qin Yun told Xie about how he obtained these 2 bloodline heavenly runes. Very good, I really didn't expect that you would obtain 4 out of 9 bloodline heavenly runes. This is truly rare. Xie said with gratified smile. Xiaoyun, you are much stronger than I imagined. Of course. I have never been weak. Qin Yun laughed and then asked, What is the use of these bloodline heavenly runes? Sister Kiru, you used to be the 9 heavens goddess, and I heard that bloodline heavenly runes are related to the 9 heavens. They are the lifeline of the 9 heavens. They can be used to create the 9 heavens. This is what Tian Dao Zi told him. Xie shook her head. It was indeed like this before. But once the 9 heavens are destroyed, the bloodline heavenly runes are equivalent to the seed of the 9 heavens rebirth. Xiaoyun, you should know what this means, right? If it is truly like this, it means that the bloodline heavenly runes are the source of the 9 heavens energy. Even if they don't have any energy, they can use all kinds of methods to obtain energy and then rebirth the 9 heavens. Qin Yun said in amazement. That's right. If used properly, the rebirth doesn't necessarily have to be the 9 heavens, but rather something that is the source of the 9 heavens energy. It can be a person, it can be a beast, it can be a divine tool, it can be anything. Xie said. Qin Yun suddenly realized the importance and use of the bloodline heavenly runes. He recalled his myriad heaven divine saber. The myriad heaven divine saber can fuse with the bloodline heavenly rune box. If he can fuse with the bloodline heavenly rune inside the box, its might can be imagined. Xiaoyun, this is only my shallow understanding of the bloodline heavenly rune. The bloodline heavenly rune has many other wondrous uses. you need to comprehend them. Of course, you must first open the box, that is the most difficult part. Siekiru said again. Qin Yun put away the boxes and asked, when I and Yunyue came here, there were 4 doors. One of them leads to this world of ice and snow, the space filled with violent snowstorm. As for the other 3, where do they lead to? I also don't know. Siekiru shook her head. Xiao Yun, I will help your divine Moon Dao image evolve into sacred heavenly Dao image. After that, you must immediately leave this place with Yunyue. All right. Qin Yun nodded, then took out a sound transmission divine pearl and handed it over to Siekiru. Siekiru looked at it and realized that it is a sound transmission divine pearl. She repeatedly shook her head and said, I don't want it. I am worried that if I contact you, someone will find your whereabouts. Qin Yun put away the sound transmission divine pearl. He did not ask Siekiru why she is so worried. He already realized that Siekiru's current situation is not very good. Come, I will help you evolve the divine Moon Dao image. Siekiru lightly smiled, pulled Qin Yun's hand and walked under a blanket. Then the 2 of them sat down. Their palms are tightly pressed together. Siekiru operated Sun and Moon Heart Sutra and cultivated together with him. Sister Kiru, you are truly awesome. You can help me evolve the divine Moon Dao image. Even Sister Shangyun can't do it. Qin Yun said in low voice. Is that so? Xiao Yun, tell me honestly, did you and Sister Shangyun cultivate the 3rd layer of Sun and Moon Heart Sutra together? Siekiru's beautiful eyes flickered with a trace of smile as she stared at Qin Yun. No. Qin Yun promised Yu Shangyun not to tell anyone even though Luo Yaofeng already knows. Really? Siekiru narrowed her eyes and smiled. Her expression is mischievous, gentle and charming. Really, it's not like you don't understand Sister Shangyun. How could she and I? Qin Yun said with smile. He knows that he can't hide it from Siekiru, but he can't admit it even if he was beaten to death. That's true. Siekiru didn't pursue this issue any further. Speaking about it, it is quite mystical. With Siekiru's help, Qin Yun's divine Moon Dao image very quickly evolved into sacred heavenly Dao image. Of course, Qin Yun also did not release it. Siekiru didn't let him release it because she was afraid that the commotion would be too big. The divine dragon Dao image that Qin Yun cultivated before is also very strong. If he released it, the commotion would definitely not be small. Sister Kiru, my 10th Dao image is also the heavenly Dao image. How can I evolve it into the sacred heavenly Dao image? Qin Yun is most worried about this. Don't worry, I will help you evolve it when the time comes. Siekiru said with smile. Oh, that's right, when I obtained the Empyrean inscription spirit, it transformed into Sister Kiru's form. Why is that? Qin Yun has always been very puzzled about this matter. Really? Siekiru slightly frowned, her eyes flickered but she shook her head and said, I also don't know the reason. Sister Kiru, can I stay for a few more days? I want to accompany you. Qin Yun is also reluctant to leave. He has not met Siekiru for long. No, it's best to leave quickly. Siekiru gently shook her head and softly said, After you go up, have a good talk with Shangyun. Let her help you regain control of the Heavenly Law pawnshop. Siekiru did not want Qin Yun to stay for long. Clearly, she was worried that he would be discovered. Qin Yun also noticed this. He got up and embraced Siekiru. The 2 of them stared at each other affectionately and couldn't help but kiss for a moment before reluctantly separating. Xiao Yun, be careful of the Heaven Creation Divine Palace. Siekiru warned. What about Yu Tian? She is now the palace master of the Heaven Creation Divine Palace. Qin Yun said, Should we call her back? Ask her about the situation, maybe she wants to stay in the Heaven Creation Divine Palace. Siekiru said. Qin Yun nodded and walked out of the room. Siekiru knocked on Ming Yunyue's door. Ming Yunyue immediately opened the door and came out. When she learned that he was leaving, she was very surprised. She thought that Qin Yun would stay for a period of time. Be careful on the road. Leave the moon heart as soon as possible. Xie Qiru pulled Ming Yunyue's hand and warned, Yunyue, you have to look after Xiao Yun, don't let him act recklessly. Got it, Sister Qiru? Ming Yunyue nodded and said with smile. Xiao Yun, don't be too anxious about the matter of the divine sun descendants. This is a matter for the future, it's still far away. Xie Qiru is worried that Qin Yun would provoke the divine sun descendants because they are not easy to deal with. Xie Qiru repeatedly warned Qin Yun to return to the surface as soon as possible. Then she watched him and Ming Yunyue use the mysterious penetration divine ability and leave through the thick ice wall. When Qin Yun came outside, the snowstorm is still as fierce as before. This time, Ming Yunyue is not shivering from the cold like when she came. She drank the ice dew given by Xie Qiru and completely adapted to the cold here. Chapter 2499. When Ming Yunyue heard this, she immediately understood why Xie Qiru had instructed her to keep an eye on Qin Yun and not let him act recklessly. Xie Qiru understands Qin Yun very well, so she knows that Qin Yun will definitely have other ideas. She only hopes that he won't act recklessly. Sister Qiru is really sealed in that iceberg? We can come and go as we please. Ming Yunyue was extremely puzzled. She believed that Qin Yun might be lying to her. We are us, we can come and go as we please. The main thing is that we won't trigger the sealing barrier, but she will definitely trigger it. Qin Yun said, once she triggers it, it will cause no small commotion. Ming Yunyue followed behind Qin Yun and looked at the sun heaven shield that Qin Yun had released. She said in puzzlement, in that case there are others inside? Did you ask Sister Qiru? I asked, but she doesn't know. Because after she was sealed, she doesn't know anything about what happened outside. So I want to open the other 3 doors and see what's happening inside. Qin Yun said. Ming Yunyue was somewhat worried as she said, Qin Yun, if someone really sealed Sister Qiru, why would they do it? Those people must be very strong. Can we beat them? No matter what, I have to find out who sealed Sister Qiru. Qin Yun said coldly. They sealed Sister Qiru because they were worried that she would help me escape the pursuit of the Empyreans. Muyu might know. Ming Yunyue felt that the matter was very complicated. She never expected that Qin Yun would be embroiled in all sorts of matters. Previously, she felt that Qin Yun was a troublemaker. But now, after interacting with Qin Yun, she understood that Qin Yun was in a maelstrom. Most of the time, he was helpless. For example, right now, Qin Yun wants to find out who sealed Xie Qiru. This will definitely be risky, and he will also become enemies with the powerful manipulator behind the scenes. And Qin Yun has no choice but to go because he absolutely cannot let off those people who sealed Xie Qiru. In essence, that group of people sealed Xie Qiru because they didn't want her to help Qin Yun. It could be considered as them indirectly suppressing Qin Yun and also implicating Xie Qiru. This was something Qin Yun could not tolerate. Yunyue, Sister Qiru asked you to watch over me. Will you stop me from entering other doors? Qin Yun asked. No, I'll go with you. But you have to promise me that you will go up in time. Because I can only enter the dragon vein for a total of 10 days. Ming Yunyue said. All right, I promise you. Qin Yun nodded. Also, even if you know who the enemy is, don't make a move yet. After all, this is the heart of the moon. We don't know the situation below. Ming Yunyue continued. And those enemies are definitely not weak. Qin Yun said, don't worry, I won't take you to do anything dangerous. Ming Yunyue felt a lot more at ease. She agreed to enter the other doors with Qin Yun to take a look. Half a day later, they finally returned to the stone room with 4 doors. When I came to Heaven's Divine Moon and learned of the Bright Moon sect's existence, I thought that Heaven's Divine Moon was controlled by the Bright Moon sect. Qin Yun walked towards a door and said with sigh, it seems like I still underestimated Heaven's Divine Moon situation. It's not just you. Even I, the bright moon holy maiden, don't know what's beneath the moon heart. Sect leader might not even know, otherwise he wouldn't be unable to enter the dragon vein. Ming Yunyue nodded at Qin Yun, indicating that he could open the door. Ming Yunyue made her preparations. She held a black longsword in her hand. It was refined from black crystal moon divine iron and could be considered the best crystal moon divine artifact. Qin Yun took a deep breath and went to open the door. The moment he opened the door, an incomparably scorching aura assaulted him. It's fire, Ming Yunyue said in a low voice. You're not afraid of fire, right? Qin Yun asked. I'm not afraid, Ming Yunyue said. Let's go in. Qin Yun walked in front and opened the sun heavenly shield. Although he and Ming Yunyue were not afraid of fire, if there were any other sudden attacks, with the sun heavenly shield, they would be able to resist for a while. After entering the door, it was a fiery red world. The soil emitted a scorching aura and the sky was filled with clouds of burning flames. The flaming clouds were emitting an extremely fierce aura. As far as the eye could see, the fiery red soil would occasionally spew out thick exploding flames that charged into the sky, forming fiery clouds or rain of fire that would fall down. Ming Yunyue took out a disc and said, "This is a soul detection tool. If I infuse my blood soul power into it, I will be able to activate the disc to release a very strong soul fluctuation." "Will it expose our location?" Qin Yun asked. "Of course. However, you should have a way to quickly hide, right?" Ming Yunyue said. "If you feel that it's dangerous, then I won't use it." "Let's use it." Qin Yun looked behind him. Although the door was closed, it could be easily opened. He suspected that the people below would not be able to use the Divine Moon Dragon Vein to reach the Divine Moonland. Ming Yunyue activated the disc and released a probing wave. Not long after, she exclaimed in a low voice, "There are a lot of soul fluctuations. I wonder if they are humans." Qin Yun looked at the disc in her hand and saw many sparkling dots of light. He asked, "Can you detect the strength of the soul?" "These souls are very strong and they are not far from us," Ming Yunyue said. "Should we go over and take a look?" Just as she finished speaking, the dots of light on the disc quickly moved and rushed towards their location from all directions. "There's no need for us to go over. They're coming," Ming Yunyue said. "Qin Yun, what should we do next?" Qin Yun pulled her hand and immediately concealed himself. Moreover, he was prepared to release the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda at any time. Once they were discovered, he would be able to enter the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda as fast as possible. Not long after, a large group of people arrived from all directions. These people are wearing clothes that are burning with flames. There is a fiery red full moon imprint on their foreheads and the hair on their heads is burning with flames. There are a total of 40 to 50 people. They are all tall and sturdy men. They don't have any weapons in their hands, but the flame aura on their bodies is very strong. With a glance, Qin Yun knew that this is a clan and a very powerful one at that. All of them are divine heavenly monarchs. "Who is it that came in?" A large man shouted loudly. "We have no ill intentions. People from the outside world, can you talk to us?" Suddenly, a black shadow appeared. Qin Yun placed the black-dyed 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda on the ground and then quickly brought Ming Yunyue into the pagoda. "We are humans from the god Desolate. Who are you people?" Qin Yun asked. "Humans from the god Desolate? To actually be able to come to this place, could it be that the Heaven Creation God Palace is finished? How could they let the humans from the god Desolate come in?" The leader asked. "This group of fire people don't have any weapons in their hands. It can be seen that they really don't have any hostility, but Qin Yun still has to guard against them." "You know about the Heaven Creation God Palace?" Qin Yun said in shock. "It was the Heaven Creation God Palace that sealed us here." The large man said, "We are the Fire Moon Divine Race. The door next door is the Ice Moon Divine Race, Thunder Moon Divine Race, and Wood Moon Divine Race. You were all sealed by the Heaven Creation God Palace? How can the Heaven Creation God Palace be so powerful? Qin Yun said in shock. Ming Yunyue is also very shocked. Indeed, there is a very strong race inside the moon's core. However, it has been sealed and it was done by the Heaven Creation God Palace. When the divine moon transformation realm is in the heavens, there is a time enchantment. You have not seen the divine moon transformation realm for long, but we have experienced thousands of years inside. In these thousands of years, the Mother Moon has been coerced and could only compromise. The Heaven Creation God Palace entered the moon's core and sealed us here, the large man said. Qin Yun and Ming Yunyue are greatly alarmed. The Mother Moon was actually coerced by the Heaven Creation God Palace. How can the Heaven Creation God Palace be so strong? Ming Yunyue said in a low voice. They claim to be able to create the heavens. How can they not be strong? You are from the God Desolate? How did you get in? The large man said. The Heaven Creation God Palace doesn't control the entrance. Qin Yun said. The one at the entrance is the Bright Moon sect. The sect leader's name is Wang Haoyue. Do you know him? Haoyue? Of course I know, the 5 sons of the Mother Moon, Mu Yu, Lei Yu, Hui Yu, Bing Yu and Haoyue. Only Haoyue, this variant, has not been sealed. The large man sighed and said, if he were to guard the entrance, the Heaven Creation God Palace would not be able to enter for the time being. Xie Qiru said before that Wang Haoyue is a rather special son of the Mother Moon. He is not recognized but he is still taken care of by the Mother Moon. Qin Yun and Ming Yunyue were very shocked at that time. They are also very shocked now because the Mother Moon has 4 very strong sons. The struggle between the Mother Moon 5 sons and the Heaven Creation 5 emperors? Qin Yun asked. Of course not, it's far more complicated than you can imagine. The large man said, Brother, who are you? For you to be able to come here, you must be someone. My name is Qin Yun. You wouldn't know me even if I told you. Qin Yun said. Qin Yun? The guy recorded in the Heavenly Rules Tao Orthodoxy? You will be ruthlessly killed by the Heavenly Emperors. I've heard of you. The large man laughed and said, You are still alive? It's not easy. Qin Yun is somewhat speechless and looked at Ming Yunyue. Do you know that there is a woman sealed in the frozen moon next door? Qin Yun asked. The one sealed is Yu Rou, right? Of course we know that not only is she sealed, she will also be taken away by the Heaven Creation God Palace. In short, her fate is very miserable. The Heavenly Rules Tao Orthodoxy records the fate of many people and her fate is also among them. The large man said, Of course, she has already escaped many times. This time, she will be completely corrected and will not be able to escape her fate. Qin Yun's expression suddenly became incomparably gloomy. He is very angry in his heart. He never thought that Xie Qiru's fate would be the same as his. She was already destined to be in that Heavenly Rules Tao Orthodoxy. Xie Qiru has already escaped many times. This means that she has been living under all kinds of pressure for many years. Yet, she is constantly helping Qin Yun change his fate. Is the Heaven Creation God Palace going to be corrected? Qin Yun said coldly. Of course, the large man said. Qin Yun, you should be corrected very soon, right? Chapter 2500. Qin Yun had never believed in the Heavenly Rules Tao Orthodoxy because he always felt that it was something controlled by someone else. There was a power that specifically used the Heavenly Rules Tao Orthodoxy to target people. Just as Qin Yun was feeling very angry, the group of Fire Moon Divine Race people suddenly became restless because they discovered that someone was coming over. All of you, quickly hide. The burly man from Fire Moon Divine Race urged. It's the people from the Heaven Creation God Palace. The people from the Heaven Creation God Palace? They have people here. Qin Yun said in shock. He thought that only the people from the Fire Moon Divine Race were sealed here. They are the same as us, unable to leave. But we are sealed and they are here to study us, wanting to become like us. The burly man said, "All of you, quickly hide. Qin Yun and Ming Yunyue are inside the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda, so they don't need to hide at all." He controlled the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda to become invisible and disappeared in an instant. This also caused the group of Fire Moon Divine Race people to be secretly shocked. There aren't many people from the Heaven Creation God Palace, only a dozen or so. However, this group of people from the Fire Moon Divine Race seemed to be very afraid of them. Qin Yun and Ming Yunyue can clearly see the situation outside from the invisible 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda. The people of the Heaven Creation God Palace are all wearing white robes and white cloaks. On the back of the cloaks are the 2 imposing words, Heaven Creation. Fiery Moon Azure Bull, why did you bring your people here? Didn't you try many times but you couldn't get out? The leader of the Heaven Creation God Palace is also a middle-aged man, but his body is relatively small, much smaller than the people from the Fire Moon Divine Race. The burly man from the Fire Moon Divine Race, who spoke to Qin Yun earlier, is the leader of the dozens of Fire Moon Divine Race people. His name is Fiery Moon Azure Bull. The Fiery Moon Azure Bull walked over and said with a smile, "Pei Taiyun, didn't you guys come here to see if you can get out? You've been trapped here for so many years, you definitely want to get out, right? Who doesn't want to? But we have a mission to complete, so we have to stay here." Pei Taiyun coldly snorted and said, "You guys don't have any ideas. What can we do?" The Flaming Moon Azure Bull laughed, "We don't want to be imprisoned and sealed by you." "That's right. Although your souls aren't extinguished, we can seal your souls. If you don't cooperate, I'll seal all of you," Pei Taiyun said coldly with an overbearing manner. I know. The Fiery Moon Green Bull could only smile apologetically. Qin Yun was secretly alarmed. The Fire Moon Divine Race was the same as the Bright Moon Disciples. Their souls were immortal. "It's good that you understand." Pei Taiyun looked around and said, "Oh right, you guys haven't given us your blood today. Hurry up." Pei Taiyun waved his hand and ordered his subordinates to bring out many large vats. There were a total of 50 vats. "Fill them all up," Pei Taiyun said. "Didn't you just offer it 5 days ago? We agreed to do it once every 7 days, and the previous vat wasn't that big." The Flame Moon Azure Bull said with a frown. The other dozens of Fire Moon Divine Race members also revealed looks of dissatisfaction, but they dared not to say anything. "We need to speed up, so we need more blood," Pei Taiyun said. "We'll collect your soul power tomorrow. Cut the crap, hurry up and let out your blood." The Flame Moon Azure Bull's face was filled with unwillingness. It gritted its teeth, but it still walked to a large vat and began to cut its wrist to let out its blood. Although the other Fire Moon Divine Race members were filled with complaints, they were helpless. They all walked to a large vat and cut their wrists to let out their blood. When Qin Yun saw this scene, he understood what was going on. The people of the Heaven Creation God Palace wanted to become like the people of the Fire Moon Divine Race, or rather, they wanted their souls to be indestructible. As long as their souls were not destroyed, they would live forever, just like the descendants of the Divine Sun. The people of the Fire Moon Divine Race and the other Yu clansmen all had immortal souls. This was the same as the descendants of the Divine Sun. When they were bleeding, a very tall young man suddenly fell down. "Old Gao!" When the Flame Moon Azure Bull saw this, it hurriedly shouted. Soon after, another young man fell down. "Dongzi!" The Flame Moon Azure Bull shouted anxiously. There were more than 10 youths who fell down one after another, and the blood they let out looked very clear and not thick enough. It could be seen that their blood had become extremely weak. The Flame Moon Azure Bull looked at Pei Taiyun and shouted, "Big Brother Pei, you can see it too. If we continue to bleed, we won't be able to hold on." At this moment, the other Fire Moon Divine Race people stopped. "Can't hold on," Pei Taiyun said with a sneer. "Are you all itching for a beating? That's fine too, Whoever can't hold on, I'll seal that person." As he spoke, Pei Taiyun took out a large black flag. The pole of the black flag was very special. It was black and it looked like a black crystal. When he saw those black crystals, Qin Yun was alarmed. They were actually poison crystals. Those were poison crystals from the extreme poison divine sun. Qin Yun suddenly thought of something. The Heaven Creation God Palace should have always been in contact with the poison sun divine race. Therefore, the Heaven Creation God Palace had long ago grasped a lot of poison crystals. They were mainly used to deal with the 5 sons of Mother Moon race. Ming Yunyue did not know that the flagpole was a poison crystal. She only thought that it was something that could restrain the Fire Moon divine race. Sure enough, when they saw the black flag, all the Fire Moon divine race people revealed expressions of fear. How powerful is the heavenly evil war god? He was poisoned by the extreme poison divine sun and could only wait for death in the end. Later on, with Qin Yun's help, the heavenly evil war god was able to cure the poison. Otherwise, he could only be reborn. Not only did Pei Taiyun have the flag, the other 9 heaven-creating God Palace people all took out their black flags and spread out, surrounding the flaming moon green bull and the others. Then, they inserted the flags into the ground, forming a flag array. Once this flag formation was activated, it would definitely release a very strong poison power. The flagpoles of those flags are made of poison crystals. Qin Yun said to Ming Yunyue in a low voice, "I guess that the Heaven Creation God Palace has already grasped this poison. They have been in contact with the poison sun divine race for a long time and have cooperated with them for many years." "What?" Ming Yunyue jumped in fright. She previously thought that since the poison pool was sealed, it would not be used by anyone. She never expected that the Heaven Creation God Palace had already grasped an extremely strong poison crystal. That damned slut sect leader. He actually called that sorrowful old slut big sister. Could it be that he doesn't know about Uxian? Ming Yunyue can be considered to have experienced the power of the Heaven Creation God Palace. For many years, the people of the Fire Moon divine race must have suffered from the ravages of that poison. That's why they are so obedient to the Heaven Creation God Palace. The people of the Fire Moon divine race are all heavenly monarchs. They can be considered very powerful, but they also have a nemesis. Qin Yun thought of Siekiru. He believes that Siekiru is most likely the same as Muyu, restrained by this kind of poison. "Quickly stop, we will bleed, we guarantee that we will gather 50 vats of blood." When the flaming moon azure bull saw the flag formation, it anxiously shouted in panic. "That's right, ha ha!" Pei Taiyun laughed complacently. The other people from the Heaven Creation God Palace all looked at the Fire Moon divine race people inside the flag formation as if they were looking at slaves. Qin Yun observed carefully. The only person who could control the activation of the flag formation was Pei Taiyun, because he held a very small flag in his hand. As long as he shook that flag, he could control the activation of the large flag formation. Qin Yun took out the Divine King Spear and turned it into a black sniper rifle. Then, he loaded the Divine Yu gold bullets he refined earlier into it. "Yunyue, if I get rid of that Pei Taiyun, you should be able to deal with the other 9 trash, right?" Qin Yun said. Ming Yunyue is a violent woman, she is very violent when fighting. "I'm afraid of those poisons," Ming Yunyue said. Qin Yun took out a few talismans and stuck them on her body. He said, "These talismans can devour poison power. Even if they use the flag formation to stimulate the poison power, they won't be able to poison you in a short period of time." "Then I'm not afraid of them." Ming Yunyue took out a black longsword and said in a low voice, "Among the trash of the Heaven Creation God Palace, only that leader is the heavenly monarch, the rest are all Tao gods. As long as I'm not afraid of their poison, killing them is as easy as cutting vegetables." Qin Yun nodded and said, "You act according to the situation. I will kill that Pei Taiyun." He set up the sniper rifle and placed it at the window. After the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda became invisible, everything inside became invisible. Now the muzzle of the gun quietly drilled out a little and was not discovered. "You can kill that guy?" Ming Yunyue doesn't believe it. Just as she finished speaking, she heard a loud bang sound. Qin Yun's divine king's spear fiercely shook and emitted a burst of golden energy mist. After the gunshot, the divine universe golden bullet flew out and hit Pei Taiyun's chest. Berserk divine universe power loudly exploded and tore Pei Taiyun's body to shreds. "Attack!" Qin Yun lightly shouted. Ming Yunyue flew out with incomparable shock and a trace of fear. And outside, there is golden energy mist everywhere. The power of that divine universe golden bullet is truly too terrifying. It shook the earth and caused it to split open. The large vats filled with blood exploded one after another, and the blood flowed into the soil. The black formation flags surrounding the fiery moon azure bowl and the others were blown to the side. The tyrannical divine universe power transformed into a gale, whistling in waves, sweeping up the scorching heat waves all around. The fiery moon azure bowl and the others are not lightly frightened. They don't know what is going on. Ming Yunyue is a very strong divine heaven monarch, bright moon saintess. Moreover, she has the bloodline heavenly runebok. With her strength, killing Dao gods is as easy as killing ant. Qin Yun didn't even have time to attack. The 9 people from the heaven creation divine palace were chopped to pieces by Ming Yunyue's quick sword. They can't be any more dead. This won't do. The power of this divine universe golden bullet is too strong. As long as the penetrating power is strong enough, it will be enough. In the future, when I refine it, I will have to reduce the materials. He originally thought that it would be enough to penetrate divine heaven monarch's body. He didn't expect that it would directly explode. This level of divine universe golden bullet is used to kill divine heaven beast monarchs. Now that it is used to kill people, it is simply using a butcher's knife to kill a chicken. After the scene calmed down, Qin Yun picked up those poisonous formation flags. Chapter 2501. Flaming Moon Azure Bowl and the others also know that Qin Yun and Ming Yunyue helped them just now. Otherwise, more than half of them would have been tortured again. They were originally very worried about the poisoned sun formation flags, but seeing Qin Yun put them away, they felt a lot more at ease. "Are you really that afraid of that poison?" Qin Yun asked. "Logically speaking, the people from the Heaven Creation God Palace are much weaker than you. Even if you are afraid of that poison, you shouldn't be suppressed by them like this." Flaming Moon Azure Bowl and the others all retrieved their blood from the soil. Their blood is very strong. Although it has seeped into the soil, it can still recover quite a bit after being retrieved. You might not know this, but their poison is very strong and can quickly destroy our bodies. Once our physical bodies are destroyed, our souls will be captured by them and then sealed or tortured in all kinds of ways. Flaming Moon Green Bull's face was full of Flaming Moon Azure Bull said in fear. "Our souls are immortal, so we will be tortured by them very painfully. Although their souls are immortal, they are not completely like the souls of the Divine Sun Descendant. The souls of the Divine Sun Descendants have a very strong penetrating power. It is very difficult to seal them. These few Moon Clan people's souls are weak here. It can be said that this is their biggest weakness. If they activate that flag formation, the poison flag will spew out a very strong venom. That venom is very terrifying. If it sprinkles on our bodies, it will quickly melt our flesh and blood." A young man said. Once their bodies were severely injured and completely decayed, their souls would also leave their bodies. Not just you, as long as it's a flesh and blood body, if they come into contact with that poison, they will all rot. Ming Yunyue said. "It's very difficult for us to block even with our equipment, let alone you guys who don't have any equipment." This group of Fire Moon Divine Race people are wearing very simple and crude clothes. Indeed, they don't have any equipment, so they can't defend against the poison refined by the poisoned sun divine race. Flaming Moon Azure Bull nodded and said, Qin Yun, are you really going to find those guys from the Heaven Creation God Palace? We can take you there. Of course I'm going to find them, Qin Yun said in a deep voice. After I kill them, I'll go next door. He wanted to return to find Siekiru and then annihilate all the people from the Heaven Creation God Palace. We'll rest for a while, then we'll take you there immediately. Flaming Moon Azure Bull seems to have seen a glimmer of hope. If Qin Yun could really lead them to exterminate the people of the Heaven Creation Divine Palace, even if they were sealed here, they could still live a good life. At least they didn't have to bleed. While everyone is resting, Qin Yun returned to Nine Sun Heaven-Raising Pagoda and took out Pill Transformation Heavenly Furnace. It had already been some time since he had used the Pill Transformation Heavenly Furnace to refine the Divine Universe Golden Bullet. Now that it had cooled down, he could refine it again. This time, he refined a Divine Universe Gold Bullet that was not that powerful, so it was enough to deal with the ordinary Shen Tianjun of the Heaven-Creating God Palace. To refine such a powerful Divine Universe Golden Bullet, even the Pill Transformation Heavenly Furnace couldn't handle it. It could only refine one at a time. If it was slightly weaker, Qin Yun would have to continuously refine several pills to reach the limits of the Pill Transformation Heavenly Cauldron. There are a total of 5 Divine Universe Golden Bullets, which are much weaker than the previous one. But it's enough to kill those heavenly lords of the Heaven Creation Deity Palace. Qin Yun looked at the scalding Pill Transformation Heavenly Cauldron and touched it. It burned his hand, so he could only helplessly put it away. He divided the Divine Universe Golden Bullet into several levels. The one he refined just now was a Level 1 Divine Universe Golden Bullet. It was refined with 2 Divine Universe Golden Stones as the foundation. And the previous one was a Level 2 Divine Universe Golden Bullet. It was refined with 5 Divine Universe Golden Stones as the foundation. As for the Level 3 Divine Universe Golden Bullet, it required 10 Divine Universe Golden Stones as the foundation, and the Pill Transformation Heavenly Furnace might not be able to handle it. Qin Yun used the Pill Transformation Heavenly Furnace to refine 5 Divine Universe Golden Bullets in a row. His speed is also extremely fast. If the Pill Transformation Heavenly Furnace could withstand it, then he would be able to continuously refine a lot. Therefore, he has to think of a way to increase the strength of the Pill Transformation Heavenly Furnace. Mingyunyue is outside the Nine Sun Heaven-Raising Pagoda, smoking and chatting with the Fiery Moon Azure Bull. Are there no women in your Fire Moon Divine race? Mingyunyue asked. The women are all imprisoned. They can't go out because when they are pregnant they have great research value. The Fiery Moon Azure Bull said. Did those fellows from the Heaven Creation Deity Palace do something very beastly to them? Mingyunyue's expression changed. She could sense that this Fire Moon Divine Race person has the same bloodline as her. The Fiery Moon Azure Bull said, They don't dare. Because that is our bottom line. If they do that, then we will definitely fight them to the death. In the end, they will only have our souls and won't be able to study us. Qin Yun walked out of the Nine Sun Heaven-Raising Pagoda and said, Have you rested well? Let's go. Qin Yun, if the talisman on me is useful, it means that I can defend against poison. You don't need to use that kind of thing to kill their Shen Tianjun, Mingyunyue said. She also felt that it is a waste for Qin Yun to use the Divine King Spear to kill Shen Tianjun. The talismans I made are definitely useful. Qin Yun took out a few more and handed them to the Fiery Moon Azure Bull. He said, Stick them on your body and guarantee that you won't be poisoned in a short period of time. The runes on these talismans are all Nether Sun Totem runes. They have a very strong devouring power. Aside from the Nether Sun Totem runes, there are also other runes inside the talismans, as well as Qin Yun's infusion of mental consciousness. Once these talismans sense poisonous gas and liquid, they will produce a bubble to envelop the body and protect the body from being invaded by the poisonous gas and liquid. Then they will devour the poisonous gas and liquid surrounding the body. This can last for a short period of time. During this period of time, it is enough for Ming Yunyue and the fiery moon azure bull to join hands and kill 1 or 2 Shin Tianjun. The Heaven Creation Divine Palace's Shin Tianjun wants to stay under the moon heart to study the Yu people. This is a very bitter job. Shin Tianjun has some ability. How could he be willing to come down and do this kind of thing? Therefore, not many Shin Tianjun can come down and their strength can't be considered too strong. Along the way, Qin Yun asked the fiery moon azure bull about the situation of the moon heart. He found out that the moon heart appeared in 4 different environments and was formed after the outer perfection realm. Fire moon, ice moon, wood moon and thunder moon, the clan emperors of these 4 races are all sons of the mother moon. And the moon heart structure was originally going to become their safe haven, but it was tricked by the Heaven Creation Divine Palace. The 4 sons of the Mother Moon and the people of the Heaven Creation Divine Palace fought a great battle and were seriously injured. All of them fled and the moon heart should have gone to find the Mother Moon. Xie also participated in the battle back then. She didn't have time to escape, so she was trapped in the Ice Moon Heart domain and later sealed in that ice mountain. Do you have any resources in the Fire Moon Heart domain? Ming Yunyue asked. This is what she is more curious about. After all, it is the Moon Heart domain. Yes, but we don't know where it is. This place is too big, it's not easy to find. We also don't have the mood to look for it because we are more or less like slaves. The fiery moon azure bull said with a bitter smile. The reason why the Heaven Creation Divine Palace wants to control the moon heart is also for the resources here. The fiery moon azure bull and the others have already brought Qin Yun and Ming Yunyue for more than 4 hours. They passed through many volcanoes that spewed lava and arrived at a highland. In the highland, there are many stone houses made of fiery red stone. They are the residences of the people of the Heaven Creation Divine Palace. The Heaven Creation Divine Palace understands the moon heart better than us. The fiery moon azure bull said. The guy in the largest stone house is the person in charge of the Fire Moon Heart domain. He is an elder. How many divine monarchs do they have? Ming Yunyue asked. 7. The fiery moon azure bull said in a low voice. If we get rid of them all in one go, our Fire Moon Heart domain will be at peace. We will definitely repay your great kindness in the future. As long as we don't let those fellows squeeze our blood dry, we will quickly become stronger. Break through the seal and get out. Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye and looked from afar. He quickly saw through the stone houses and said, There are a total of more than 100 people. This is not easy to make a move. The fiery moon azure bull said, Then let's wait patiently, wait for them to be alone and then get rid of them one by one. Ming Yunyue shook her head and said, No, we don't have time. In another 9 days we will be going up. Qin Yun is also in a hurry to go to the neighboring Ice Moon Heart domain to eliminate the person who is a threat to Xie. Then what should we do? Should we directly charge over? The fiery moon azure bull looked at Qin Yun. He also realized that this person who is destined to die a miserable death in the heavenly rule orthodoxy is extremely powerful. Otherwise, he would not have lived until now. That's the only way. Qin Yun looked at the 9 Sun Divine Spirit and chatted with Yang Yang. Yang Yang is playing inside the Divine Universe Purple Sunday. Qin Yun told her that they are going to face a very strong enemy and prepare to fight. This little girl is actually very happy. Yang Yang, the person we are facing this time is Divine Monarch. This is not a joke. Qin Yun said, He is very strong. I'm not afraid. Yang Yang impatiently wanted to go out and shouted delicately, I'm also very strong. And I just learned a new move. Qin Yun immediately released Yang Yang. She is in the form of a few years old little girl. She is wearing a fiery red dress. Her face is round and her round eyes are wide open as she looked at her surroundings. What kind of place is this? This place is really good, it suits me very well. Yang Yang looked at the fire cloud in the sky and pointed with her little hand. Fire cloud, cotton candy. I want to eat it. Seeing this very cute little girl, the fiery moon azure bull and the other large men are all startled. Qin Yun suddenly let a little girl run out. What is he doing? Ming Yunyue looked at Yang Yang and sensed a different aura. She seems to have sensed that Yang Yang might be a sun spirit, but she is not sure. Yang Yang, there are 7 divine monarchs over there. Wait a moment, I need you to get them out. Oh right, you have to be careful. They have a very strong poison in their hand. Are you afraid of poison? Qin Yun also thought of the poison of the extreme poison divine Yang. It is not good to let Yang Yang fight. Soon after, he took out a poison crystal and said, "This is the poison." Seeing the poison crystal, the fiery moon azure bull and the others scattered in fear. "Don't be afraid, I can burn it." Yang Yang saw the poison and said with a giggle, "In my inherited memories there is a way to deal with this poison." That's good. Qin Yun thought that since Yang Yang can easily play inside the divine universe purple sun, she is definitely not afraid of any poison. Yang Yang looked at the stone houses in the distance and said, "Is the enemy over there?" Chapter 2502. Previously, Ming Yunyue only suspected that Yang Yang was formed from the Sun Soul, but now, she is very sure that Yang Yang is the Sun Soul because that speed is something that even she is unable to achieve. The Fire Moon Azure Cow and the rest of the Fire Moon Divine race are all astonished. They never expected that such a cute little girl would be so fast. Furthermore, the aura of flames on her body made even them, the Fire Moon Divine race, feel ashamed of their inferiority. In the blink of an eye, Yang Yang arrived above the stone houses on the high ground. Suddenly, a large amount of flames appeared around her, as if a huge cloud of fire enveloped the sky. Following a deafening cry, a beautiful and gigantic flame divine bird appeared high up in the sky. This beautiful gigantic divine bird's feathers flickered with golden flames. 9 long purplish gold tail feathers fluttered in the air like gorgeous ribbons. Yang Yang flapped her wings. The feathers on her wings were as sharp as swords. When they flapped, the flames surged like a huge wave. It was as if a violent waterfall of flames was pouring down from the 9 heavens. It suddenly struck the stone houses below. When Qin Yun saw this move, he felt that it was somewhat familiar. In the core region of the myriad realms divine sun, he had seen that magnificent 9-colored waterfall. Yang Yang said that she learned a new move. Could it be this move? Qin Yun thought. Those stone houses were enveloped by the waterfall of flames in an instant. The people inside let out miserable screams. The 7 Shin Tianjun angrily flew out of the sea of flames and into the sky, wanting to attack Yang Yang. Yang Yang's wings suddenly flapped and fiercely slapped the 7 Shin Tianjun who were charging at her. The 7 Shin Tianjun were extremely powerful, and they all had divine weapons in their hands. When they charged into the sky, they used the vigorous power of the Shin Tianjun to launch a fierce counterattack. Yang Yang's wings flapped downwards and struck the 7 Shin Tianjun's bodies, causing a very strong shockwave. A loud sound reverberated through the air. The combined might of the 7 Shin Tianjun was extremely terrifying. They actually managed to push Yang Yang's huge body upwards. Yang Yang is not a vegetarian. Her wings are very sturdy. It can be seen that her body is very strong. When the divine weapons hit the feathers on her wings, they produced very crisp sounds. The 7 Shin Tianjun joined hands and were able to push Yang Yang upwards. As for them, they were also smashed to the ground by Yang Yang's wings. Yunyue, Azure Ox now. Qin Yun shouted softly. Ming Yunyue, the Fire Moon Azure Bull, and more than 20 Fire Moon God Race youths immediately rushed over. There were 50 people on Fire Moon Divine Race's side, but only 20 of them could fight right now. The others had not recovered well, and they were all very weak because they had lost too much blood. The 7 Shin Tianjun of the heaven-creating God Palace were all stunned. They did not know that Yang Yang was formed from the Sun Soul and thought that it was a divine beast from the Fire Moon Heart domain. They had just been beaten to the ground when Ming Yunyue, the fiery Moon Azure Bull, and the others had already entered the Sea of Fire. Qin Yun followed closely behind. Fiery Moon Azure Bull, you bastard, what are you doing? An old man from the heaven-creating God Palace shouted angrily. Did you do all this? Yang Yang's flames were very terrifying. All of the heaven-creating divine palaces Tao God Realm S were severely injured by the flames, and were unable to fight anymore. Old bastard, go to hell! The fiery Moon Azure Bull angrily punched the old man's nose. At this moment, the people of the Fire Moon Divine Race are all in groups of a few people, crazily attacking a Shin Tianjun from the heaven-creating God Palace. Although the heaven-creating God Palace's Shin Tianjun was surrounded and attacked, he was still able to take out the poison yang array flags. Seeing those poison yang array flags, the people of the Fire Moon Divine Race felt fear in their hearts. At this moment a blue light shot out. Qin Yun used the heaven locking chain to bind the poison yang array flag. Then, he injected the power of the suffering divine ability into the Shin Tianjun's arm through the array flag. Shin Tianjun felt an intense pain. He loosened his grip slightly and the poison yang array flag was snatched away by Qin Yun. Quickly release the poison and exterminate them. One of the Shin Tianjun shouted angrily. The other Shin Tianjun reacted extremely quickly and immediately released a large amount of black poisonous mist. Just as the fiery Moon Azure Bull and the others were panicking, they discovered that the surrounding flames had actually entangled the black poisonous mist. The black poisonous mist was locked by the flames, causing the flames to turn black, but it would not poison anyone. This is Yang Yang's flame, it can block the flow of the poisonous mist. Haha, your poison-breaking technique is useless against us. The fiery Moon Azure Bull laughed maniacally and then crazily beat up that Shin Tianjun. After Ming Yunyue stabbed a few Shin Tianjun, she quietly withdrew from the battlefield and came to Qin Yun's side. She let the Fire Moon Divine Race people go and beat up those Shin Tianjun from the heaven-creating God Palace. Yang Yang flew to the nearby sky and ate all the fire clouds. To her it was like cotton candy. After eating enough, Yang Yang flew back to Qin Yun's side and pinched her cute little face before returning to the Nine Sun Divine Spirit. Ming Yunyue touched Yang Yang's little face earlier and asked in a low voice, Qin Yun, is she a sun soul? And Qin Yun nodded and said, I heard from your big brother that you guys really need sun soul, right? Yes, we'll talk about this later. Ming Yunyue said, It's not convenient here. The matter of Sun Soul is very important. She had also heard that Qin Yun has a Sun Soul, but she had never seen it with her own eyes. The surrounding flames gradually extinguished, and the poisonous mist was refined by the flames. The poison yang array flags in the hands of the Shin Tianjun of the heaven-creating God Palace all fell into Qin Yun's hands. The 7 Shin Tianjun of the heaven-creating God Palace did not die, but they are in an incomparably miserable state. You are going against the heaven-creating God Palace, you will die a horrible death. The old man who was beaten beyond recognition looked at Ming Yunyue and Qin Yun and screamed in a trembling voice. Qin Yun held a small pistol in his hand and pointed it at the head of the Shin Tianjun and said, There is a woman sealed in the heart domain of the frozen moon next door. Do you know about this? You're talking about Yu Ro? After Mu Yu dies, Yu Ro will inherit Mu Yu's position. At that time, she will be in charge of Divine Moon. Not only do we want to seal her, we also want to control her, enslave her and obtain the true power of Divine Moon through her. The old man laughed and said, You guys will also be our enslaved targets. Bang! Qin Yun's expression suddenly became gloomy and cold. He shot out a spear. Although he did not use the divine universe gold bullet, it still exploded the old man's head. The heaven-creating God Palace's ambition is truly great, Qin Yun said in a deep voice, and then killed those Shin Tianjun one by one. The Fire Moon Azure Bull and the others repeatedly thanked Qin Yun and promised that as long as their Fire Moon divine race could break through the seal here, they would definitely repay them. The seals here are only aimed at their souls, so Qin Yun and Ming Yunyue are not restricted. I want to go to the heart domain of the frozen moon next door, Qin Yun said. There should also be people from the heaven-creating God Palace over there. As far as I know, only our Fire Moon Heart Domain has a lot of people from the heaven-creating God Palace. There aren't many in other places. The Fire Moon Azure Bull said, Brother Qin, we want to take you to a place where there is moon flame divine liquid. Where? Qin Yun asked. Please follow us. The Fire Moon Azure Bull and the others are now completely free. They don't need to live under the shadow of the heaven-creating God Palace all day, so they are truly grateful to Qin Yun. Qin Yun followed the Fire Moon Azure Bull and the others. After walking for a while, they arrived at a huge volcano crater. The crater is very big and very calm. The strange thing is that the crater is like a huge lake, filled with moonlight water. This water is very hot. This is the moon flame divine liquid. I feel that these late nights will be very helpful to that divine bird from before, the Fire Moon Azure Bull said. Qin Yun took out a small black bottle and threw it into the lake at the crater of the volcano, crazily absorbing the moon flame divine liquid. Inside the small black bottle, there was a large amount of sun flame liquid before, and now there is a large amount of moon flame divine liquid. That is the Sun Moon Divine Flame Liquid. The Moon Flame Divine Liquid has a certain amount of destructive power towards the soul. Qin Yun also plans to study it in the future to see if he can use it to deal with the descendants of the Divine Sun. Soon after, Qin Yun let Yang Yang come out. When the little girl saw the Moon Flame Divine Liquid, she immediately changed into her original form and entered the huge lake. Brother Qin, I don't think Mu you can hold on for long. Her soul was always in the moon before and then suddenly left. At that time, she was already on the verge of death, the Fire Moon Azure Bull said. Qin Yun also remembers that he thought that Mu Yu had died at that time. Mu Yu only said that she was going to a very distant place, and said something about going home. If Mu Yu truly died then what? Qin Yun asked. Then our internal affairs will be in chaos. Wood Moon, Ice Moon, Fire Moon and Thunder Moon, the four emperors will fight over the inheritance of Mother Moon. The Fire Moon Azure Bull's expression is incomparably grave as he said, and the inheritance of Mother Moon seems to have been given to Yuero. Therefore, this situation will become even more chaotic. Ming Yunyue asked, Then who will you follow? The Fire Moon Azure Bull looked at Qin Yun and said, You know Yuero? If Yuero is beneficial to us as a whole, then we will follow her. If Yuero can help us leave Moon Heart, not only us, the Wood Moon, Ice Moon and Thunder Moon, 3 races will follow her. What about the 4 emperors? Qin Yun asked. You are betraying the 4 emperors. We are suffering here and they haven't made any movements for so long. They haven't even appeared in the divine Moonland. They must be fighting for power. The Fire Moon Azure Bull is also rather angry in his heart, because on the way here, he asked many questions about the situation outside Ming Yunyue. The situation. The 4 emperors have not appeared in the divine Moonland. This is clearly a problem. It's not that they don't dare, it's that they haven't come. Qin Yun's small bottle's devouring speed is getting faster and faster. After collecting enough Moon Flame Divine Liquid, it slowly floated up and returned to Qin Yun's hand. Yang Yang has had enough fun. She returned to the 9 Sun Divine Soul and entered the Divine Universe Purple Sun to cultivate. She wants to evolve into the 9 Heaven Vermilion Bird. Qin Yun and Ming Yunyue bid farewell to the Fire Moon Azure Bull and the others and immediately left the Fire Moon Heart Domain and returned to the four-door stone room. I want to ask Sister Kiru, she has too many things to hide from me. Qin Yun shook his head and sighed. She is afraid that you will be involved in this maelstrom. Ming Yunyue also sighed lightly, but she really needs to talk to you because you can help her. Chapter 2503. After Qin Yun entered the frozen moon heart domain, he released the sun heavenly shield to block the blizzard. Then, he and Ming Yunyue sped up and rushed to the iceberg where Xieqiru was. Yunyue, your bright moon sect seems to need a sun soul. Qin Yun said, your big brother knows that I have a sun soul, he also wants to borrow it. If it was in the past, he would need it, but now he doesn't need it at all. Ming Yunyue said, he is not in the core of the bright moon sect, so he doesn't need to cultivate a divine moon heavenly soul. What about you? Qin Yun asked, do you need a sun soul? I don't need it either. I have a divine moon heavenly soul myself. Ming Yunyue said, you must remember, don't let the other people from the bright moon sect know that you have a sun soul. Qin Yun said, I, Qin Yun, have a sun soul. This is something many people know. However, they don't know that Qin Yun is old cousin. You will still have to walk around Bright Moon City in the future, so you must be careful. Ming Yunyue said. Oh right, what is a divine moon heavenly soul? Qin Yun had heard about it from Ming Yongtian before. A type of martial spirit. It is a cultivation method of our Bright Moon sect. To cultivate a divine moon heavenly soul, one's status in the Bright Moon sect is even higher. This can also be considered a symbol of status. Ming Yunyue said. Then how many people in the Bright Moon sect have this kind of divine moon heavenly soul? Qin Yun asked. Not many, there shouldn't be more than 10 people. Ming Yunyue said, and I am one of them. It is also because of the divine moon heavenly soul that I have great authority and can veto the women of other powers from becoming holy maiden. Qin Yun nodded and said, I heard that the Bright Moon sect leader also has a sun soul and it's even a hat. Many people want to borrow it from him, but he said that in order to be fair, he won't lend it to anyone, right? That slut sect leader's sun soul is about to die and he hasn't used it for many years. It's because he lent it out and let others cultivate the divine moon heavenly soul, which caused the sun soul to consume a large amount of lifespan. Ming Yunyue warned solemnly. So, you must not lend your sun soul to others to cultivate the heavenly soul. Don't even lend it to my big brother. There's still such a consumption. Qin Yun said in alarm, it will weaken the sun soul by a lot? My big brother doesn't know about this. Ming Yunyue said, your sun soul is a cute little girl. You have to cherish it. Don't be like sect master and play with your yang soul until it's rotten. Qin Yun sighed and said, it's such a pity for your sect master's sun soul. Oh right, can you get your hands on his broken sun soul? I want to take a look. Maybe I can find a way to recover? Ming Yunyue recalled that Qin Yun had the Divine King Heavenly Seal. That was a sun god deity position. It was highly likely that he could revive Wang Haoyue's sun soul. Alright, I'll get it for you. If you can resurrect his yang soul will belong to you. After reviving his sun soul, don't tell him. Ming Yunyue said, wait for me to go up, then we'll take action immediately. Ah? He's willing to give you his sun soul? Qin Yun was somewhat surprised because from Ming Yunyue's words, it seemed very easy. He has a daughter. As long as I agree to let his daughter become the saintess and then get him to give me some other benefits in exchange, I'll also get him to give me his sun soul. That way, it'll be settled. Ming Yunyue said. Isn't this giving him the position of saintess? Qin Yun said with a frown, is it a big loss to you? Ming Yunyue said with a smile, of course not. The sect master's daughter becoming the saintess has no effect on me at all. I've been waiting for an opportunity to make a deal with him. As for the saintess of the other powers, they have some effect on me. If Qin Yun obtained the one in Wang Haoyue's hands and repaired it, he would have an additional sun soul in his hands. Then I have to thank you in advance, Qin Yun said. You're welcome. You've helped me a lot too. Ming Yunyue sincerely wanted to repay Qin Yun. Therefore, when she learned that Qin Yun wanted Wang Haoyue's dying sun soul, she immediately said that she would help him get it. Not long after, Qin Yun and Ming Yunyue approached the iceberg once again. It seems like someone else has been here. Qin Yun sensed the aura of others outside the iceberg. He followed the aura and circled around the huge iceberg. Soon, he saw a cave entrance. And at the cave entrance, there are 4 powerful divine heavenly monarchs guarding it. Those 4 divine heavenly monarchs are all wearing battle armor. Their entire bodies are tightly wrapped in powerful divine equipment. With a glance, one can tell that they are very professional in battle. Qin Yun brought Ming Yunyue to conceal themselves, but they still have to be careful. Someone came to find Sister Kiru and they even made a hole. Qin Yun is somewhat anxious in his heart. Then, he used the mysterious penetration divine ability to penetrate the thick ice layer of the iceberg and entered the belly of the mountain. After arriving at the belly of the mountain, Qin Yun felt a lot more at ease when he saw that the small building is very quiet. Then, he brought Ming Yunyue and quietly arrived at the balcony of the 2nd floor of the small building. Siekiru is sitting in the small hall inside. Sitting opposite her is an old woman wearing a red robe. The red-robed old woman is very old and her face is covered in layers of wrinkles. However, her eyes are very sharp and her aura is also very powerful. The red-robed old woman held a red skull walking stick in her hand and stared at Siekiru with her sharp old eyes. Tianshiro, have you thought it through? If you are willing to give up fighting against us, we can guarantee that you will smoothly inherit Divine Moon. If you continue to fight against us and stop the operation of the heavenly law Tao orthodoxy, you will definitely die a miserable death, the red-robed old woman said. Qin Yun is alarmed. This red-robed old woman should be from the heavenly law Tao orthodoxy. She must be related to the heaven creation divine palace. I have never stopped the operation of the heavenly law Tao orthodoxy. Siekiru's voice is not as gentle as it used to be. Instead, it is filled with a sharp coldness, as well as a kind of might that Qin Yun has never felt before. This guy Qin Yun hasn't died yet. Isn't it because you are obstructing him? The red-robed old woman said with sneer. The reason why Qin Yun can live until now is because you have always been helping him. Therefore, you are preventing the normal operation of the heavenly law Tao orthodoxy. Didn't the heavenly law Tao orthodoxy say that I would die a miserable death? Moreover, it has been many years since the time was set. Am I not dead yet? Siekiru said with sneer. The fact that Qin Yun is alive means that there is a deviation in the heavenly law Tao orthodoxy. The red-robed old woman picked up her walking stick and vigorously poked the ground, causing the small building to tremble. She furiously said, "Therefore, we want you to fix Qin Yun and make his death coincide with the heavenly law Tao orthodoxy. If you don't do it, don't even think about inheriting Divine Moon. Moreover, we will also fix you." Is Grandma Mu Yu already dead? Siekiru calmly said. Dead. His sons were fighting for her right to inherit the throne. As long as we are willing, we can choose one of her sons to take charge of Divine Moon. And you will forever lose this opportunity. The red-robed old woman said with sinister smile. You better cooperate. Let us fix Qin Yun. Siekiru said with sneer. Don't you claim to be omnipotent? Why don't you personally fix Qin Yun? I think it is you who are afraid of him. Because anyone who touches him will die a horrible death. This is mainly because that old thief Heavenly Tao raised Qin Yun to become the embodiment of calamity and misfortune. The red-robed old woman said angrily. You are the person he loves, you can definitely kill him. You can leave now. Siekiru said coldly. You really don't want to cooperate? Then we will let you die a miserable death. The red-robed old woman said angrily. I will die for him, I am willing. Siekiru said coldly. But I also guarantee that before I die, I will kill everyone who wants to kill him, including you. Tianshiro, Muyu's early death is related to you, right? Because Muyu has already compromised and wants to help us fix Qin Yun. The red-robed old woman said with sneer. If I tell Muyu's sons about this, think about the consequences. Qin Yun and Ming Yunyue, who are outside, are very alarmed. Siekiru calmly said, Muyu died naturally, it has nothing to do with me. The red-robed old woman laughed sinisterly. Is that so? The reason we sealed you here is to see how Muyu's sons will treat you, the legitimate successor of Divine Moon. Even if you didn't kill Muyu, if we tell Muyu's sons, they will definitely take it seriously. They are not worthy of inheriting Divine Moon, Siekiru said indifferently. Divine Moon belongs to our Divine Moon clan. Divine Moon clan? The Divine Moon clan controlled by Tian Shixiang? Humph, they are all destined to be the female slaves of the heavenly sovereigns. The red-robed old woman said with sneer. And you will also be the plaything of the heavenly sovereigns. Tianshiro, take care of yourself. After the red-robed old woman finished speaking, just as she stood up, a blue light shot over. The red-robed old woman's reaction is very fast. However, in that instant she felt her body become incomparably heavy. She saw a pitch-black nether sun floating above her, producing an incomparably powerful supergravity, causing her entire body to become very heavy and her movements to become very slow. Qin Yun is using all his strength to activate the nether sun and entered Imperial Heaven state. His entire body is emitting a black fiendish aura, and the blue light he shot out is none other than the heaven-locking chain. The blue heaven-locking chain suddenly turned black and penetrated the red-robed old woman's throat. Damned old woman, you want to leave? Qin Yun grabbed the chain, as if he is holding an old evil dog. He vigorously pulled the red-robed old woman over and ruthlessly slapped her to the ground. You, how can this heaven-locking chain be in your hands? Who the hell are you? Just as the red-robed old woman finished speaking, she screamed crazily. Berserk suffering divine ability power, like a black liquid, gushed out from Qin Yun's body and entered the red-robed old woman's eyes, nose and ears, causing her to sink into endless pain. This scene caused Ming Yunyue and Siekiru's scalp to go numb. Especially Siekiru, she never knew that Qin Yun had such formidable ability. I am Qin Yun. Qin Yun sneered. It's very painful, right? That's right. The red-robed old woman screamed crazily. Her screams are filled with fear and despair. She really did not expect that the Qin Yun they always wanted to fix would suddenly appear. Even Siekiru did not expect that Qin Yun would return and attack without saying a word. Sister Kiru, who is this old woman? Is she from the Heaven Creation Divine Palace? Qin Yun asked. Chapter 2504. The red-robed old woman who was knocked to the ground by Qin Yun had her neck pierced by the black heaven-locking chain. She was screaming in pain. She also heard Qin Yun's words, and she also knew about the meeting at the Heavenly Law pawnshop. The reason why they moved the Heavenly Law pawnshop to the Divine Moon of the Heavens was because the environment here was very beneficial to them. The moon's core was sealed, and there was only the bright moon church in the mystic moonland. They could not cause any trouble. If the bright moon sect dared to resist, they could use the poison crystal to quickly suppress the bright moon sect. You traitor, you won't live for long. The heavenly rules orthodoxy will take your life. The old woman in red robes cackled, and I am immortal. You can't kill me. As she spoke, a ball of red light suddenly flew out of the old woman's head. That was her soul. Seeing this kind of soul, Qin Yun is alarmed. This is because this kind of soul is similar to the soul power of a divine sun descendant. This is the soul of a divine sun descendant. Siekiru shouted in alarm and promptly released a white square shield to block in front of Qin Yun. The soul's penetrating power is very strong. It pierced through Siekiru's square shield and flew towards Qin Yun's head. Damned old hag, you can't escape. The soul creation heavenly cauldron suddenly appeared in Qin Yun's hand. With a flip of his hand, he grabbed the red soul and imprisoned it inside the soul creation heavenly cauldron. This old woman is a descendant of the divine sun god? Qin Yun closed the lid and put away the soul creation heavenly cauldron. Thankfully, he had this thing. Otherwise, the red-robed old woman's soul would have escaped. Siekiru shook her head and said with frown, I just discovered it, I didn't expect it to be like this. Qin Yun said, some people in the heaven creation divine palace might really be descendants of divine Sunday. Moreover, they are the kind that can break away from divine sun. The descendants of the divine sun could not leave the divine sun otherwise, their bodies would rot. Without a body, they would only be a ball of soul with no power at all. She is the mother of the sorrowful old witch. Is the sorrowful old witch also a descendant of the sun god? That venerable sovereign of the heavens is the son of the sorrowful old witch. Could they all be? Ming Yunhua said. The birth of the supreme sovereigns in the heavens is rather peculiar. It is said that the supreme sovereign of the 9 heavens gave birth to a baby and ate the body of the supreme sovereign of the 9 heavens. That's how it grew to its current state. Qin Yun said, the descendants of the divine sun cannot leave the divine sun. What kind of technique did you master to be able to leave your divine sun and move around? Yunyu, lend me your sword. Siekiru extended her hand and took the sword from Ming Yunyue's hand. Then, she indicated for Qin Yun to withdraw the heaven locking chain. Qin Yun has already returned to his original appearance. The heaven locking chain turned back to blue. After he retrieved the heaven locking chain, Siekiru slashed down with her sword towards the red-robed old woman's head. Dang! There was a crisp sound as Ming Yunyue's sword trembled. She was actually unable to sever the old woman's neck. Very sturdy, it must have been refined with special materials, right? Siekiru looked at Qin Yun and said, Xiao Yun, check her body. Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye and released a ball of flame into the hole on the old woman's neck. This is not a normal body of flesh and blood. It should be a body forged from flesh and blood mixed with a large amount of precious materials. After Qin Yun finished checking, he took out the myriad heaven divine saber and chopped down on the old woman's neck. This time, he very smoothly beheaded the old woman. He said with frown, Are these guys really the descendants of the divine sun? Could the 5 emperors of the heaven creation divine palace be the descendants of the divine sun? Why did the sorrowful old witch contact the poison sun divine clan? It seems like she is also looking for a method to exterminate the descendants of the divine sun divine race. Ming Yunyue said. Not necessarily. Maybe she is worried that the method to deal with the descendants of the divine sun divine race would fall into the hands of others. Or maybe they are also fighting against the other descendants of the divine sun. Qin Yun shook his head and said. He stored the old woman's body and threw it into the 9 sun divine spirits' small nether sun to devour. Ming Yunyue knows that Qin Yun and Siekiru have something to discuss, so she walked out and waited patiently outside. There is a cave in the ice mountain. There are a few divine heavenly monarchs guarding there, but they don't know the situation inside, otherwise they would have already come in. Xiao Yun, why did you come back? Siekiru faintly sighed, walked to Qin Yun's side and hugged his sturdy waist. Because I know you were bullied, so I came back immediately. Qin Yun tightly hugged Siekiru's delicate body and said with light smile, Sister Kiru, I more or less know about you Xian's situation. Soon after, he told Siekiru about his encounter in the Fire Moon Heart domain. Xiao Yun, the inheritance of the heaven's divine moon is very complicated. First, you must have the heaven's divine moon order. Then you must find the divine moon core. I still don't know where the divine moon core is, Siekiru said with slight frown. After finding the divine moon core, you must also find the divine moon seed. It's so complicated. It's that complicated? Said Qin Yun with a frown. To find the divine moon seed, you must use the heaven's divine moon order and insert the divine moon seed into the divine moon core. Then the inheritor will enter the divine moon core to complete the final inheritance, Siekiru said. I can do it within my body. Qin Yun gently held Siekiru's hands and asked, Heaven Creation Divine Palace also sealed you, right? And Siekiru lightly nodded. Sister Kiru, I can bring you up. Qin Yun took out the Divine King Heavenly Seal. No need. I want to stay here to find the divine moon core, and at the same time save the other moon race people. Siekiru said, with their help, I might be able to find the divine moon core even faster. All right. Then I will bring you out of the four-gate stone room. Qin Yun said. That old woman was killed by you. No one can threaten me. This place can't trap me. Siekiru gently smiled. I really didn't expect that law enforcement Great Venerable would be killed so easily. Qin Yun curled his lips and said, Too weak. That's because her body is too old. She should have a good body, but she didn't bring it down because she was afraid of some damage. Siekiru said, but her soul can't return to the best body. Through this, Qin Yun realized that Divine Sun descendants still have a way to leave Divine Sun. Sister Kiru, are you afraid of that poison? Qin Yun took out a pearl and quickly carved the Nether Sun totem on it. It can absorb a large amount of poison. Then he took out the little jade rabbit and gave it to Siekiru. Siekiru hugged the little jade rabbit and gently stroked the white fur on the rabbit's body. She said, That poison has a very strong destructive power towards my soul and body. I am indeed very afraid. Let little jade rabbit follow you, she can neutralize the poison, Qin Yun said with smile. I haven't hugged a little rabbit for a long time. Siekiru hugged the cute little jade rabbit and felt very happy. Siekiru took the pearl from Qin Yun and realized that the Nether Sun totem can devour that poison. She sighed and said, Xiao Yun, you are much stronger than I imagined. I can't deal with that poison, but you can easily deal with it. If there's anything in the future, don't hide it from me. Qin Yun giggled and said, I'm not afraid of any danger. Siekiru nodded and said, Xiao Yun, after you go up, once you control the Heavenly Law pawnshop, it would be best to quickly return to the Heavenly Divine Desolates through Heaven's Sword Formation. That place is the safest. And I got it. Qin Yun already has a plan. After returning to the Heavenly Divine Desolate, he will look for the remnant Sun Soul or build a few teleportation formations to teleport everywhere. When Siekiru saw that Qin Yun has the Heaven Locking Chain, she felt even more relieved. That is a very terrifying divine weapon. She gently touched the small necklace hanging on Qin Yun's neck and said softly, It is said that this was made by the previous Heavenly Tao. It should be considered an Imperial Heaven Divine tool. I always thought that this Imperial Heaven Divine tool was destroyed. I didn't expect it to still be here. This was given to Qin Yun by Tian Daozi. Later on, Tian Daozi gave Qin Yun a key to open a secret room in the Heavenly Law pawnshop. When Qin Yun obtained that broken key, he despised it very much, but now he is looking forward to it. The things Tian Daozi gave him are very good. Xiao Yun, after you control the Heavenly Law pawnshop, remember to find my mother and ask her about the things hidden inside the Nine Sun Divine Spirit. Siekiru said. And I got it. I've been looking for her, but I still haven't received any news. Qin Yun already told the Netherworld Great Emperor to go to the Nine Nether Realm to look for her. That's good. Siekiru walked down the small building and walked towards the exit passage. There are still 4 Shin Tianjun guarding outside. Yunyue, let's join hands and take down the 4 Shin Tianjun outside, Siekiru said. Xiao Yun is only a sacred god. He is not suitable to fight Shin Tianjun head-on. Qin Yun took out the divine king's spear. He is indeed not suitable to fight Shin Tianjun head-on. However, it is very suitable to attack from behind. Ming Yunyue nodded and walked out with Xieqiru. Qin Yun used the mysterious penetration divine ability to enter the ice layer and find a good shooting point ahead of time. Not long after, Ming Yunyue and Xieqiru started fighting with those Shin Tianjun. Qin Yun hid halfway up the iceberg and watched the intense battle in the sky. His divine king's spear also turned into a very large sniper rifle. He filled in the few divine universe gold bullets he obtained earlier. He wanted to test its power for a long time. After aiming at a heaven creation divine palace Shin Tianjun, Qin Yun told Xieqiru to speed up and then open fire. Bang! That level 1 divine universe gold bullet instantly hit heaven creation divine palace's Shin Tianjuan's neck and sent his head flying. This power is more or less what Qin Yun expected. It is enough to deal with ordinary Shin Tianjun. The gun barrel is very hot. Qin Yun estimated that he can still fire 2 more shots. After killing 1 Shin Tianjun, Qin Yun aimed at Ming Yunyue's Shin Tianjun and quickly killed another one. After killing 2 Shin Tianjun, the rest are much easier. Ming Yunyue and Xieqiru can easily deal with them. After killing Heaven Creation Divine Palace's Shin Tianjun, Qin Yun brought Xieqiru and Ming Yunyue out of the Ice Moon Heart Domain and arrived at the 4-door stone room. I'm going to the Fire Moon Heart Domain to find the Fire Moon Azure Cow and the others. Xieqiru said. Xiao Yun Yunyue, you two return to the Divine Moon Great Land first. Don't worry about me. When Xieqiru was sealed, it was only because the seal detected her soul. Once her soul left the barrier, the law enforcement great sovereign would appear. Chapter 2505. So many things happened before and after the divine moon of the heavens, leading to one battle after another. After Qin Yun went to the moon's heart, he realized how complicated the situation of the divine moon of the heavens was. Among them were the Heaven Creation God Palace, the 5 sons of Mother Moon, the law enforcement great senior who was in charge of the heavenly rules Tao Orthodoxy, as well as the heavenly emperors. The fight for control of the divine moon of the heavens was bound to be very intense. What made Qin Yun feel at ease was that Xieqiru had a very good advantage because the divine moon clan behind her was the true successor. Xieqiru and Yu Shangyun both had the divine moon order, each holding half. Xieqiru had already given the divine moon order to Qin Yun so that he could find Yu Shangyun and borrow the power of the divine moon of the heavens. Qin Yun planned to avoid using it as much as possible because this opportunity was very important. If the Divine Moon Clan wanted to fight for control of the Divine Moon of the Heavens in the future, they would need to borrow the power of the Divine Moon of the Heavens. Ming Yunyue and Qin Yun entered the moon's heart this time and also learned many important secrets. These things were destined to rot in her stomach, and she would never say them out. Moreover, this made her want to escape from the divine moon of the heavens even more. The divine moon of the heavens was obviously a battlefield. The current position of the Bright Moon sect was in a very good position in the divine moon of the heavens. If a war broke out, the Bright Moon sect would definitely be involved. Qin Yun and Ming Yunyue returned to the underground palace. They entered the moon's heart for less than a few days. It was still very fast. However, everything that he experienced down there was extremely thrilling. Qin Yun's trip to the moon's heart gave him a new understanding of the Heaven Creation God Palace. He also learned that the heavenly rules Tao Orthodoxy was controlled by someone and seemed to be controlled by someone. Sure enough, there is a power behind them that is secretly helping the venerated sovereigns control the divine desolate and the 9 divine sons. Qin Yun followed Ming Yunyue and left the underground palace. He was also thinking about this matter. Behind the heavenly emperors was the Heaven Creation God Palace. As for whether there were any differences within the Heaven Creation God Palace, he did not know. He had to meet Yu Tian to further confirm it. Qin Yun directly returned to the Crystal Moon Lane, while Ming Yunyue returned to the Saintess Palace. She had to make other arrangements because the current situation was very grim. The upcoming battle for the Heavenly Law pawnshop might cause a big commotion. Therefore, she ordered her subordinates to stay away from the Heavenly Law pawnshop. The Heavenly Law pawnshop was located on the divine moon of the heavens, not too far from Bright Moon City. After Qin Yun came up, he immediately contacted the nameless old man and asked him to secretly bring Yun Long to the Crystal Moon Lane. After that, he contacted Yu Shangyun. She was with Bing Xing in the Bright Moon Church Palace. When Yu Shangyun and Bing Xing heard that Qin Yun had returned safely, they heaved a sigh of relief. What made them puzzled is that Qin Yun did not go for many days before returning. Qin Yun only told them that he saw Xie Qiru. As for other matters, he did not say anything for the time being. He asked Bing Xing to take the other Divine Moon clanswomen and leave the Divine Moon realm as soon as possible, and also asked Yu Shangyun to come to the Crystal Moon Lane. Bing Xing and Yu Shangyun realized that something big was definitely going to happen, so they did not ask any further. They followed Qin Yun's instructions and immediately left Bright Moon City and returned to the Divine Desolate. Bing Xing led the team back. This time, they came to the Divine Moon of the Heavens and their harvest was not small. They obtained a lot of Divine Universe golden stones, as well as various materials and medicinal herbs. After Ming Yunyue finished arranging the matters of her Saintess Palace, she went to find Wang Haoyue to exchange for Wang Haoyue's Sun Soul. She had promised to help Qin Yun obtain it. Yu Shangyun was still in Bright Moon City. After she told Bing Xing to lead the team out of the Divine Moon of the Heavens, she immediately went to the Crystal Moon Lane to find Qin Yun. She was already very familiar with the Crystal Moon Lane, and she had a lot of authority here. After entering the Crystal Moon Lane, she went straight to Qin Yun's luxurious suite. When Yu Shangyun arrived, she did not take off her helmet. When Qin Yun saw her, he quickly and simply told her about his meeting with Xie Qiru and his experience under the Moon Heart. As Yu Shangyun listened, she took off her helmet. Her eyebrows slightly furrowed, and her moving and elegant face gradually turned serious. Her pair of beautiful eyes, which were filled with dignity, flickered repeatedly as she listened and pondered. Qin Yun's experience in the Moon Heart caused Yu Shangyun to be extremely shocked. She did not know that it would be like this. This is my experience under the Moon Heart. Qin Yun took out the Divine Moon token that Xie Qiru had given him and said, Sister Shangyun, I don't plan on using it until the critical moment. This is too important for all of you. Yu Shangyun also took out her Divine Moon token. There is a half moon on it. She gently shook her head and said, Don't think for us. The matter of taking down the Heavenly Law pawnshop is very important. It must not fall into the hands of the Heavenly Emperors. I hate that bastard very much. The Heavenly Emperors said that Yu Shangyun was his destined empress. They even said that the Divine Moon Clan was his harem. Just thinking about it made her feel disgusted. The Heavenly Law pawnshop will definitely not fall into that bastard's hands. I don't know what will happen when the time comes. Qin Yun said. That's why Xiao gave you the Divine Moon token. It will allow you to borrow the power of the Divine Moon at the critical moment. Yu Shangyun stuffed her Divine Moon token into Qin Yun's hands and said, This way, the Divine Moon token will be complete. You can borrow the strongest power of the Divine Moon. After Qin Yun received Yu Shangyun's Divine Moon token, he felt an indescribable pressure in his heart. This is a very important thing. Xie Qiru and Yu Shangyun gave him such an important Divine Moon token, it means that they trust him very much. Thank you, Qin Yun said. I'll go with you to the meeting. Yu Shangyun said again, You must bring me along. Qin Yun nodded. They won't dare to act recklessly in the heavenly law pawnshop. Yu Shangyun looked at Qin Yun and asked in a flat tone, "Does Xiao know that you slept with me? You didn't tell her, did you?" "She doesn't know. I didn't tell anyone. Only Princess Luo knows." Qin Yun spread out his hands, and Yu Shangyun walked towards the room and said, "You must be tired. I will cultivate the third level of the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra with you. Firstly, I can help you recover, and secondly, I want to properly study the new technique of the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra." This. Qin Yun is startled. This cold and domineering Empress Shangyun always makes this kind of request suddenly. "Come quickly!" Yu Shangyun shouted softly. Qin Yun laughed and walked towards the room. Then, he immersed himself in the tyrannical Empress's wonderful fragrance and tenderness. When he woke up, Qin Yun discovered that a day had already passed. Yu Shangyun got up early and left. It was unknown what she was going to do. After Qin Yun woke up, he received a message from Yu Shangyun. She told him to get up and take a bath to wash away the fragrance on her body. "Xiao Yun, is Sister Shangyun really studying the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra? Or is she studying you?" Ling Yun giggled. "Of course I'm really studying the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra." Qin Yun curled his lips and said, "What are you thinking? A woman like Sister Shangyun definitely has a purpose in doing things. How could she mess around with me? The drunkard's intention is not in the wine." Ling Yun laughed mischievously. "When you go back, ask Big Sister Yang if the third level of the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra has any research value." Qin Yun immediately went to take a bath and changed into a set of gray clothes, disguising himself as a middle-aged man. The nameless old man did not personally bring Yun Long. He handed Yun Long over to Ming Yongtian and asked him to bring him to the Crystal Moon Lane. Ming Yongtian has been doing very well recently. When Qin Yun saw Ming Yongtian, he opened his heavenly eye and discovered that this guy's entire body was shrouded in purple gas. It could be said that he was very lucky. "Old cousin, in the past few days I've been buying and selling and made a lot of money. Furthermore, I've been picking up a lot of good things." Ming Yongtian is also dressed very luxuriously. He is very spirited and has the demeanor of a big boss. "You've struck it rich in the past few days? Not bad." Qin Yun patted his shoulder and gave him some carefree smoke for him to sell. Ming Yongtian also has a lot of divine universe golden stones. He directly gave Qin Yun 1,000 and immediately went to sell carefree smoke. Actually, he is not going to sell cigarettes but to deliver cigarettes. It is mainly used to build relationship. Qin Yun has tens of thousands of divine universe golden stones in his hands, and Ming Yunyue gave him some more later on. It can be said that he is not lacking for the time being. Yun Long sat in the hall. His long white beard fluttered like a cloud. After he saw Ming Yongtian leave, he said with a smile, "Boss, no matter where you go, you are doing very well. Shopkeeper, what's the situation with the Heavenly Law pawnshop now?" Qin Yun said, "Why did they come to the Divine Moonland? It's the two bosses Gongsun and Linghu. Boss Dongfang is against coming to the Divine Moon of Heavens, but Boss Dongfang only has one Heavenly Law blood token, so he has no power." Yun Long said, "It doesn't matter if the Heavenly Law pawnshop comes to the Divine Moon of Heavens." Qin Yun said with a smile, "Do they think that coming to the Divine Moon of Heavens is their world? Yun Long doesn't know that there are many undercurrents surging in the Divine Moon of Heavens. However, he still feels that there will definitely be a great conflict during the meeting. Boss, during the meeting, the great emperors will definitely come." Yun Long said solemnly, "I know, inside the Heavenly Law pawnshop, he can't do anything to me, right?" Qin Yun is actually very calm. "That's right. I'm just worried that there will be an accident. After all, he is the great emperor of the heavens." Yun Long is still somewhat worried. Qin Yun shook his head and said with a smile, The heavenly law pawnshop is the personal property of the previous heavenly law. Only the heavenly law blood token can inherit it. Yunlong suddenly lowered his voice and said solemnly, "Boss, I received news 2 days ago that your foster father found Mog. She and your foster father are rushing to the divine moon of heavens. Can she come during the meeting?" Qin Yun is somewhat excited and asked anxiously. "She should be able to." Yunlong nodded. "If she comes, that would be great." Qin Yun did not expect that the Netherworld Great Emperor would find Mog so quickly. "I will take my leave first. The heavenly law altar is nearby. I will go boast to Tian Dao Zi," Yunlong said with smile. Qin Yun is somewhat surprised that Tian Dao Zi can bring the huge heavenly law altar to the divine moon of heavens. "I will go to the heavenly law altar very soon." Qin Yun nodded. He originally wanted to give Yunlong a sound transmission divine pearl, but he doesn't have it anymore. Not long after Yunlong left, Ming Yunue arrived. Chapter 2506. The myriad heavens' venerable sovereigns had already arrived in the mystic moonland, and it was highly possible that they were in the bright moon city. Qin Yun was not particularly surprised when he heard the news. What is the heaven-creating deity palace doing? Could it be that they want to infiltrate Bright Moon City? Qin Yun said, "Yun Yu, your Bright Moon sect's overall strength is not weak, but the Heaven Creation Divine Palace has already grasped the poison to restrain you, so you cannot lose. Take it easy." The Bright Moon sect could restrain the Heaven Creation Divine Palace in the Mystic Moonland. Once the Bright Moon sect fell, the Mystic Moon clan would no longer have any helpers in the Mystic Moonland. Slut sect leader is not stupid, Ming Yunue said. He will definitely guard against the Heaven Creation God Palace. Qin Yun nodded and said, "It's best to remind him. Tell him that the Heaven Creation God Palace came into contact with the Poison Sun Divine race very early on and obtained a large amount of poison crystals." "I will tell him," Ming Yunue said. She also didn't want the Bright Moon School to be finished. "I'm not going to the Holy Maiden Assembly," Qin Yun said. "If I'm recognized by all the Supremes, I'll be in big trouble." After Qin Yun cultivated the heavenly soul, he could completely conceal his soul and not be sensed that he was Qin Yun. Previously, the Empyrean Supremacies and the others had a way to sense Qin Yun. Qin Yun could avoid being discovered, but he did not wish to take the risk. He wanted to focus on the heavenly law pawnshop. "Up to you," Ming Yunue said. "After the Holy Maiden Assembly, I will bring the sect leader's sun soul to you. Remember to remind the Bright Moon sect master to guard against the Heaven Creation Divine Palace," Qin Yun exhorted. "By the way, Qin Yun, when will you be forging a saber for Skyfiend?" Ming Yunue asked. Although this guy doesn't say it on the surface, he really wants to get it quickly. "I will do it as soon as possible," Qin Yun said with a smile. "I already have purple and black crystal moon divine iron. When I have time, I'll help him make it. Then I won't disturb you anymore. Goodbye." Ming Yunue left. She had a lot of things to do. Qin Yun felt that with Ming Yunue in the divine moon of the heavens, he would be able to take care of her in the future. The relationship between Ming Yunue and the Divine Moon Clan was not bad, and they were already openly cooperating. The Mystic Moon race would definitely understand the situation of the Mystic Moons through Ming Yunue. Qin Yun hurriedly entered a secret chamber and took out the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppression Cauldron. He threw in an appropriate amount of Crystal Moon Divine Iron. Yang Yang. Qin Yun released Yang Yang and took out many divine fruits he obtained from Bright Moon City. These divine fruits were obtained by Qin Yun through Ming Yongtian. Many of them were special varieties that were hard to find in the market. They were also very delicious. Not only did Yang Yang come out, Mo and the little ant queen also came out to eat the divine fruit. Yang Yang did not eat those divine fruits for nothing. After she finished eating, she spewed out fire to help Qin Yun burn the furnace and smelt the crystal moon divine iron inside the heavenly lion dragon suppressing cauldron. Only Qin Yun could make this ninth heaven Xian sparrow help him burn the furnace. While Yang Yang was burning the furnace, Qin Yun let the little ant queen help him refine the transcending space divine stone. The little queen ant was a spatial Xian ant queen. That kind of spatial power was very special. She could make the quality of transcendental divine stone better. The quality of the transcendental space divine stones Qin Yun obtained are low to mid-grade ones. They can be said to be very poor. These 1,000 genes of transcendental divine stone were given by the heavenly emperor and Wang Haoyue. Some were collected by Qin Yun himself. Most of the good transcendental divine stone were kept by him. Therefore, the quality of the transcendental divine stone is very poor. Fortunately, with the little ant queen's help, the quality of the transcendental divine stone can be improved. While the little ant queen is improving the quality of the transcendental divine stone, Qin Yun also began refining the unfettered divine grass. He refined it into tobacco that is suitable for smoking cigarette. Qin Yun hid in a secret room for a few days and produced a large saber for the heavenly fiend battle god. Qin Yun carved many rare and powerful runes on the saber. There are sun, moon and star runes, as well as heavenly runes, powerful beast totems, Tao evolution heavenly runes and so on. Next, the heavenly fiend battle god will need to go out and refine it himself. Only then will it gradually mature. Apart from this, Qin Yun also used a small amount of transcendental divine stone to make more than 10 sound transmission divine pearls. He gave one to Siekiru before, but after coming to Mystic Moonland, he could not contact her. Although Qin Yun has been in seclusion for a few days, the things he produced are very scary. Especially that saber. If it was made by other inscription masters, it would take a lot of time. Moreover, it would require the cooperation of many inscription masters. Just the runes on the saber would take a very long time for other inscription masters to carve. Qin Yun has a large number of inscription spirits, so it is very easy for him to carve. The main reason why he did not run around these past few days is because he does not want the heavenly sovereigns to know that he is in Bright Moon City. He does not want any side issues to crop up before the Heavenly Law Pawnshop Assembly. The Heavenly Fiend Battle God is very excited after learning that Qin Yun has finished crafting a saber for him. However, he is also somewhat puzzled because it is too fast. He originally thought that Qin Yun would need at least 2 to 3 years to finish crafting a saber. The Heavenly Fiend Battle God is very excited after learning that his saber is finished so quickly. He is also very puzzled. He hastily rushed to Qin Yun's luxurious suite and waited for him in the living room. Qin Yun just came out of his bath when he saw the Heavenly Fiend Battle God. He said with smile, "Old brother Heavenly Fiend, your saber is ready." He handed over the saber to the Heavenly Fiend Battle God. It is a rather wide and long saber. This is also the type that the Heavenly Fiend Battle God said he wanted before. It looks very sharp, but it is not too ostentatious. It does not emit a very strong multicolored light, and it does not have a very tyrannical aura. However, after the Heavenly Fiend Battle God received the saber, he sensed that this saber is very different from others. Especially the runes on the inside, they seem to have fused with his body in an instant. They are closely connected with his soul. Qin Yun has the Heavenly Sovereign Inscription Spirit. In addition, he has mastered the Imperial Heaven Divine Power and cultivated the Heaven Might Tao technique. Therefore, this saber can be said to be tailor-made for the Heavenly Fiend Battle God. Take it back and familiarize yourself with it, Qin Yun said with smile. In a few years you will be able to unleash the strongest power of this saber. Many thanks, old cousin. The Heavenly Fiend Battle God is very grateful. Brother Heavenly Fiend, in a few days I will be attending a conference. At that time, I will need experts to hold the fort. You should come with me, Qin Yun said. Although the heavenly fiend battle god looks like a youth, his strength is also very strong. Especially when fighting, he is the type of person with extremely terrifying explosive power. Moreover, he is not afraid of death. No problem. The heavenly fiend battle god has always wanted a good saber, but the Bright Moon sect is unable to satisfy his requirements. Qin Yun gave him a good saber, so he is very grateful to Qin Yun. When the time comes, I might have to face the heavenly emperor and all heavenly sovereigns, Qin Yun said again. Alright. The heavenly fiend battle god looks very excited. Because he has long been in a bad mood with the heavenly emperor. He still has not avenged the heavenly emperor who sent him into the poison pool. Soon after, Qin Yun took out a disc and a crystal talisman. He said, "This is the Heart Protection Heavenly Shield and Soul Protection Heavenly Talisman. How do I use them?" After receiving them, the heavenly fiend battle god knows that they are high-grade goods. Place the Heart Protection Shield at the position of the heart. It can be used to block that kind of poison, Qin Yun said in deep voice. The Heaven Creation Divine Palace has already grasped that kind of dreadful poison. It is specially used to restrain you. It can quickly destroy your body and capture your soul. The heavenly fiend battle god cursed in low voice. I knew that the Heaven Creation Divine Palace people are up to no good. Let's see if sect leader will guard against them or not. The two things I gave you can only block their poison temporarily. After blocking to a certain degree, they won't be able to continue. Therefore, if you fight with them in the future, immediately retreat when you see them using poison, Qin Yun said. Got it. The heavenly fiend battle god nodded his head. Qin Yun also made a few of these things. With the help of the Gemini treasure mirror, he can quickly imprint runes on talisman papers and tools. Alright, you go properly refine your saber first. Let's do it at the Crystal Moon Lane, Qin Yun said. The heavenly fiend battle god stayed at the Crystal Moon Lane to refine his saber. Qin Yun also gave him a sound transmission divine pearl. Qin Yun called Ming Yongtian over and asked him to give 2 sound transmission divine pearls to Yun Long and Tian Dao Zi so that they can contact each other in the future. Emoji and my foster father should be here soon. Qin Yun is also impatient to meet Emoji. This way, he can clarify some things. Maybe he can find out where his parents are and the situation inside the Heavenly Dao pawnshop. The Holy Maiden Assembly is being held, but the Heavenly Fiend Battle God did not go. He has been staying at the Crystal Moon Lane all along. The main purpose of holding the Holy Maiden Assembly is to announce to the entire Bright Moon sect that there is a new Holy Maiden. This is a very glorious matter. The Bright Moon sect leader is the sect leader, but he doesn't have the authority to decide on the second Holy Maiden. This must be done with Ming Yunyue's consent. Therefore, many people from the big sects hate Ming Yunyue. Otherwise, their sects would have already had Holy Maiden. After the Holy Maiden assembly ended, Ming Yunyue immediately returned to the Crystal Moon Lane and arrived at Qin Yun's luxurious suite. This is the sun soul of that slut sect leader. It is much worse than I imagined. Ming Yunyue handed over a gray and inconspicuous hat to Qin Yun. This hat looks like a peaked cap. Moreover, it is very shabby and the skin on the surface is peeling. Qin Yun took it and opened his heavenly eye to take a closer look. Is this really a sun soul? That slut sect leader wouldn't lie to me, right? Ming Yunyue is also unable to tell because this hat has no aura at all. It's a sun soul. Qin Yun is very certain and somewhat excited. He said with a smile, I can regenerate this sun soul. After saying that, he hurriedly ran into the secret room. Ming Yunyue felt a lot more at ease. She secretly exclaimed in her heart that Qin Yun could really regenerate a dying sun soul. Qin Yun is in the secret room, excitedly playing with the hat. he said with a smile. This is something that can be worn on the head. It can protect the soul and strengthen it. It can also help the soul absorb more divine power to cultivate. It's truly a treasure. Doesn't that mean I have to wear it often? Ling Yun'er said. Chapter 2507. The reason why Qin Yun was so excited after obtaining the Sun Soul was mainly because the hat was closely related to the soul. At present, the soul was his weakness. When he faced the red-robed old woman, the law enforcer Great Sovereign, he felt that her soul was very strong. If not for him having the soul creation heavenly cauldron to suppress the law enforcer Great Sovereign's soul in time, it would have been very troublesome. A powerful descendant of the Divine Sun must have a very strong soul. The previous contact with the law enforcer Great Sovereign was also the first time Qin Yun encountered a descendant of the Divine Sun with a strong soul. This made him realize that in the Heaven Creation Divine Palace and the Myriad Realms Divine Sun Land, there were many descendants of the Divine Sun with strong souls. In this regard, he did not know how to defend for the time being, so he could only use the soul creation heavenly cauldron to suppress it. However, he could not use the soul creation heavenly cauldron to block it every time. If there was a descendant of the Divine Sun with a strong soul concealment ability, they could quietly approach him and then attack his soul. Now that he had this hat, the Sun Soul could defend against the soul attacks of the descendants of the Divine Sun. After this hat is done, there might be even more surprises. After all, this is a Sun Soul. Ling Yun'er laughed. I wonder how that slut sect leader obtained it. Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye and carefully examined the hat to see if there were any other damages. The Sun Soul was conscious, but because it was too weak and on the verge of death, it became like this. Qin Yun released Yang Yang. When the cute little girl came out, she was holding a fruit in her hand and biting it. Qin Yun pinched her pink face and placed the hat on her head. He said with a smile, Yang Yang, do you recognize this hat? Ah, it has a very familiar feeling. Yang Yang's big eyes rolled up and looked at the hat on her head. Then, she took it off and frowned in thought. Yang Yang was also a Sun Soul, so she definitely had a familiar feeling about it. I remember now, this seems to be a heavenly hat. Yang Yang said in surprise. Big brother, how did you get it? This hat is dying. Qin Yun patted Yang Yang's head and said with a smile. I just got it. I won't let this hat die. How about this, I bring it back to the Divine Universe Purple Sunday. This can restore some of the hat's vitality. Yang Yang said. That works too. Qin Yun nodded. Yang Yang took the hat and returned to the Nine Sun Divine Soul. Yang Yang had entered the Heavenly Universe Divine Sun, the Divine Universe Purple Sun, and the Primal Chaos Divine Sun, but she didn't dare to approach the Nether Sun. She said that she would wait until she evolved into the ninth Heaven Vermilion Bird before she could approach the Nether Sun. Nether Sun is still a very dreadful existence to her. Not long after, Yang Yang came out and handed the hat to Qin Yun. The skullcap had recovered some of its vitality. Although it was still gray, it still had a trace of vitality. Then, Qin Yun took out the Divine King Heavenly Seal. His godly monarch Heaven Seal could borrow the power of 3 myriad realms Divine Suns, but he did not intend to use the power of the myriad realms Divine Suns. Because once they did that, it would definitely cause a huge commotion. I don't need the power of the myriad worlds Divine Suns. I have a lot of Divine Suns in my hands. Qin Yun used the Divine King Heavenly Seal to absorb the divine power of the 9 Sun Divine Spirits, 4 Divine Suns. Then he used the Divine King Heavenly Seal to seal the Heavenly Hat and pour in the divine power of the 4 Divine Suns. Through the Divine King Heavenly Seal, one can absorb the divine power of the Divine Sun and transform it into a special kind of divine power. This kind of divine power can allow a weak Sun Soul to be reborn. In addition, the Nine Sun Divine Spirit can also absorb the divine power of the Divine Sun inside and release a very strong Sun Spirit energy into the skullcap to strengthen the Sun Soul. Qin Yun has the Divine King Heavenly Seal and the Nine Sun Divine Spirit, as well as a few powerful Divine Suns. Reviving the Sun Soul is a piece of cake. If Wang Haoyue knew that the half-dead Sun Soul that he viewed as trash was revived by Qin Yun, he would definitely vomit blood. Wang Haoyue himself does not know how to use the Sun Soul. To him, it is a tool used to cultivate the Divine Moon Heavenly Soul. However, it is also a very precious thing. When cultivating the Divine Moon Heavenly Soul, one needs to extract a large amount of soul power from the Sun Soul. This is extremely painful for the Sun Soul, it is like cutting it, and Wang Haoyue has lent it to many people to use. Therefore, in this way, the soul body within the Sun Soul has been cut many times and finally, there is only a trace left. The Sun Soul, which is in unbearable pain, is also filled with resentment. It is filled with resentment towards Wang Haoyue, but there is nothing it can do. It can only wait for itself to completely dissipate with hatred. Now that the Sky Hat has fallen into Qin Yun's hands, it can be said that it has met a good master. The Sky Hat has its own consciousness, but it will not communicate with Qin Yun. It only has a subtle connection with Qin Yun. It can operate according to Qin Yun's consciousness, as if it is a part of Qin Yun's body. Don't worry, I won't lend you to others to cultivate the Divine Moon Heavenly Soul. Qin Yun gently caressed the black hat. He could feel the fear and resentment of the hat. The Sky Hat's aura was somewhat irritable, but now it has gradually calmed down. The Sky Hat knew that Qin Yun still had the Sun Soul, Yang Yang. It was a Sun Soul that was even higher than his hat. Yang Yang was originally a beast, but later on, it could transform into a human form. It was indeed a very rare Sun Soul. As the Sky Hat gradually revived, Qin Yun's understanding of the Sky Hat increased. Just as he had guessed, this hat was of great help to the soul. Not to mention the defensive aspect, it could protect the soul. Even if the soul was attacked by a powerful heavenly punishment, this hat could still block it. In addition to defending the soul, this hat could also absorb the divine power of the myriad realms' divine sun and the power of the heavenly divine moon to cultivate the soul. The absorption speed would be even faster. Furthermore, after being transformed by the Sky Hat, it would be even more beneficial to the soul. Even if one absorbed a lot of energy, it would not harm the soul. In addition, through this hat, one could make one's soul release divine power even stronger. When Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye, he needed to use the power of his soul, and this hat could strengthen it by a lot. The power of the blood soul also used the soul, which could strengthen the power of the blood soul. If he wanted to attack the opponent's mind, he would definitely be stronger through the Sky Hat. It could be said that there were many benefits. Qin Yun stayed in the secret chamber for 2 days and finally completely restored the hat. Furthermore, it has turned into a black peaked cap. Its shape is a little smaller than before and there are many black stripes on the surface of the hat. Those are the runes of the inscriptions. This hat doesn't look special on the surface, but after wearing it, Qin Yun immediately sensed that he is absorbing even more divine moon power. When he was on the way to the moon core, he swallowed a lot of divine moon power and stored it in the nether sun and nether moon. At this moment, he is wearing this Sky Hat. He released the divine moon power he collected and poured it into the hat to transform it. After the transformation, he could immediately strengthen his soul. Looks like I'll be able to cultivate another heavenly soul and heavenly soul soon. Qin Yun now has 1 heavenly soul and 1 heavenly soul each. Soon, he will have 2 each. With more heavenly soul and heavenly soul, he would be able to use the heavenly eye better, and the imperial heaven divine technique would also be stronger. Strange, this Sun Soul is actually related to the 9 Sun Divine Spirits Nether Sun. Qin Yun can sense that the Sky Hat is involuntarily probing the 9 Sun Divine Spirits Small Nether Sunday. That small nether sun was created by Siakiru. Although it is not big, it is also very formidable. The sky hat seems to be very fond of that small nether Sunday. This might be an opportunity. Qin Yun suddenly thought of something. He believes that he can take advantage of this opportunity to make the sky hat the small nether sun's sun soul. Divine Universe Purple Sun, Heavenly Universe Divine Sun, and Primal Chaos Divine Sun currently don't have sun souls. Divine Universe Purple Sun's sun soul should be Yang Yang. Yang Yang is soaking inside all day long. Small nether sun needs to grow. If it has a sun soul, it might be an opportunity to grow and break through. Qin Yun has several tens of thousands of Divine Universe golden stones. He plans to put them inside the small nether Sunday. During this period of time, he also refined some sacred Tao divine pills. He plans to eat them and cultivate his nether sun Tao image. Then, with the help of the small nether sun's breakthrough power inside the 9 sun divine spirit, he can evolve his nether sun Tao image into a sacred heavenly Tao image. After he suddenly thought of this, he immediately took out the sound transmission divine pearl and contacted Yu Shangyun. Sister Shangyun, I want to eat sacred Tao divine pills, can you come? Qin Yun is somewhat embarrassed, after all, he is talking to the tyrannical empress. I'll be there right away, Yu Shangyun replied. She is at the Crystal Moon Lane. Because all heavenly sovereigns are in Bright Moon City, she is worried and has to stay near Qin Yun at all times. She said she would be there soon, and she really will be there soon. I'm already in your room, where are you? Yu Shangyun took out Sound Transmission Divine and asked Qin Yun. Qin Yun put on the sky hat and tried to completely conceal his soul. Even the soul-chasing talisman can't track him, so Yu Shangyun doesn't know where he is. He put away the sky hat and placed it inside the small nether sun of the 9 sun divine spirit. Then he put all the divine universe golden stones on him into the small nether Sunday. That small nether sun is a bottomless pit. Although it is very small, it can swallow tens of thousands of incomparably heavy divine universe golden stones. Qin Yun hurriedly arrived at the room. Just as he entered the door, an incomparably rich and wonderful fragrance surged over. Yu Shangyun has already made all the preparations. She is soaking in a large bathtub in the room and said softly, "Come here quickly." Qin Yun and Yu Shangyun have met more than once or twice, but every time he faces this tyrannical empress, he is somewhat reserved. On the other hand, Yu Shangyun doesn't seem to be reserved at all. Instead, she seems to be very familiar with the road. Xiao Yun, don't you think that when Sister Shangyun is in a certain state, the fragrance on her body is even stronger? Ling Yun'er said with a smile. Maybe it's because she's aroused, so the wonderful fragrance on her body is even stronger. This can make it easier for her lover to fall into her embrace and be unable to extricate himself. Don't talk nonsense. This time, Qin Yun really wants to quickly evolve the nether sun Tao image into the sacred heavenly Tao image. In this way, his strength might even be comparable to Shen Tianjun. Even if he faced the heavenly sovereigns, he wouldn't be afraid. Outside of Bright Moon City, it is currently very lively. Because the Heavenly Tao altar is just outside and Heavenly Tao's child is performing a spell on the Heavenly Tao altar, causing demonic wind to blow everywhere. Chapter 2508. The heavenly altar was as huge as a towering mountain, towering outside the Bright Moon City. The entire altar was currently emitting a bright white light, and the surrounding air currents were wreaking havoc. At the center of the top of the altar, frightening howls could be heard from time to time. It was as if thousands of tigers and thousands of dragons were fighting, and it was as if an unprecedented battle was about to break out. Most frightening of all was the fact that the enormous Heaven Tao altar would occasionally tremble violently, and in those moments, a powerful heavenly might would spread out in all directions, as if it were the end of the world. The experts from the divine wilderness were currently floating in the air around the heavenly Tao altar, looking down at Tian Daozi in the middle of the altar. Tian Daozi knew that he was being watched by many powerful Lord of Heaven, but he was very calm and continued to cast his spell. From time to time, he would let out a crazy laugh, causing the atmosphere to become even more terrifying. The heavenly Tao is heartless, the heavenly Tao destroys the world. Everything in the world was annihilated. The heavenly Tao is immortal. The heavenly Tao is eternal. Tao Master Tian Dao let out a loud roar and said some nonsense. His voice echoed out in all directions, and it seemed like a world-ending calamity was about to descend. Tian Daozi, what are you doing? Hurry up and stop. The one who shouted was Boss Gongsun. At this moment, he was also extremely nervous, fearing that Dao Tian would act recklessly. I don't want to do anything, but what the heavenly Tao wants me to do. The heavenly Tao is me, I am the heavenly Tao. I am not me, the heavenly Tao is not the heavenly Tao. Heavenly Tao child was like a swindler, babbling nonsense. The heavenly law pawnshop's meeting is about to begin. You don't want the meeting to go smoothly, do you? Boss Ling Hu sneered and said, Tian Daozi, are you afraid that after the pawnshop is controlled by the venerable sovereigns, they will seize your altar? Tian Daozi laughed heartily. The venerable sovereigns are the real tools. Everything about the heavenly Tao had nothing to do with him. All heavenly venerable sovereigns are nothing but sacrifices. Shut up. The voice came from a woman. It was the great Emperor of Sorrow. Ha ha ha. Tian Daozi laughed loudly and continued. He only continued to perform the arts, stirring up violent winds, lightning flashing and thunder rumbling. However, it seemed as if he was holding back, and the big move was slow to come. Tian Daozi is currently unable to release powerful calamities and tribulations. He needs Qin Yun. Therefore, he can only put on airs and make people think that he truly controls the heavenly Tao altar and can release powerful calamities and tribulations. After pretending for a while, Tian Daozi also stopped and said loudly, Heaven-creating deity palace, you are not the true creator of the heavens. You are just a group of heaven thieves. Tian Daozi, do you really think you are immortal? Boss Ling Hu sneered. Boss Ling Hu sneered and said, Tian Dao, do you really as? Heavenly Tao is dead, not only me, all of you will die. Tian Daozi laughed heartily and said, Do you know who the true incarnation of Heavenly Tao is? Heaven as Heva's emperor as he was there, and in heaven as heaven as heaven heavenly emperor was as. Now, his mission had been accomplished. As long as the venerable sovereigns devoured him, they would become the real venerable sovereigns. The heavenly Tao. Inheriting the heavenly law required one to go through all kinds of hardships, and one might even die. How could the venerable sovereigns of the heavens endure that kind of pain? The true incarnation of the heavenly Tao is me. Tian Daozi laughed heartily. Now that the heavenly Tao has no master, anyone can inherit the heavenly Tao and control the heavenly rule orthodoxy. Fellow experts, as long as you are strong enough, you can also ascend to the heavens. This caused the surrounding heavenly lords to be secretly shocked. Right now there was indeed no order in the world. Only 3 of the myriad realms' divine sons appeared, and they had yet to form their strongest power. The Mother Moon had just died, and the successor of the divine moon of the heavens had yet to be decided. Currently, in the divine wilderness great era, all kinds of powerful clans were born one after another. Some powerful clans were hard to shake even for the heaven creation divine palace. The entire all heavens divine wilderness great era could be said to be in a state of chaos. Every faction had the possibility of reaching the pinnacle. Tian Daozi, you really are a madman. All heaven's venerable emperors will be in charge of the new heavenly Tao and heavenly rules orthodoxy. This is known to all. Great Emperor Sadness said with sneer. The heavenly rules orthodoxy has already planned out the future direction of this world, the fate of every living being. It has already been written into the heavenly rules orthodoxy, no one can change it. Ming Yunyue is also present. She used to believe it, but ever since she met Qin Yun, she no longer believes in the heavenly rules orthodoxy. Because Qin Yun seems to be a person who has jumped out of the heavenly rules orthodoxy and can even change the fate of others. Boss Dongfang also doesn't believe it because he knows that Qin Yun is a variable in the heavenly rules orthodoxy. Now, he has already caused many deviations in the heavenly rules orthodoxy. Many people's fate has already deviated from the records of the heavenly rules orthodoxy. Qin Yun should have died long ago, the new heavenly Tao should have been born long ago, but what about now? Tian Daozi laughed loudly and said, Your heaven creation divine palace must know better than us that the heavenly rules orthodoxy is completely out of control. From now on, no one can say for sure what will happen. Small deviations in the process are allowed, the result will not change. Great Emperor Sadness said, If you don't believe me, just wait and see. All heaven's venerable emperors are the new heavenly Tao and Qin Yun will definitely die. Let's go, don't waste time with this madman. Boss Gongsun shouted. Many experts dispersed, but many powerful divine heaven monarchs have a thought in their hearts. Living to their current realm and grasping formidable power, they can be said to be the strongest group of people in this great era. It is impossible for them to not have ambition. Everyone wants to stand at the highest peak, to control heaven and earth, to control the fate of millions and millions of living beings, to use the power of heaven and earth for their own use, to become immortal. Seeing that everyone has dispersed, Tian Daozi entered the heavenly Tao altar. Yun Long is also inside the heavenly Tao altar. Yun Long naturally knows that Tian Daozi was the previous shopkeeper of the pawn shop, so they got along very well. Netherworld Great Emperor is also inside the heavenly Tao altar's main hall. He is sitting with his legs crossed and drinking tea. And sitting in front of him is a blue-robed old lady with extremely good temperament. This old lady has a bit of wrinkles on her face and white hair, making her look old. But her entire body is brimming with exuberant vitality. She is an old lady with extremely good spirit. She is Emoji, Xieqiru's mother when she was reborn as Xianqiru. That guy Xiaofuyun, why hasn't he come yet? Emoji saw Tian Daozi return and asked. I caused quite a commotion just now, but I still couldn't alarm him. Tian Daozi spread out his hands. He is also holding a sound transmission divine pearl in his hand. He tried to contact Qin Yun, but there was no response. Netherworld Great Emperor said with mischievous laugh. Maybe he is having fun with some woman. Tian Daozi nodded and said, I think so too, otherwise I wouldn't have been unable to contact him. You men are all thinking the same thing. Emoji groaned and said, Tian Daozi, did you see that brothel keeper? I saw her. She is not as young and beautiful as you. Tian Daozi said with smile. She is also not as spirited as you. That brothel keeper's complexion is much worse than yours. She must be worried to death for her son, heavenly venerable sovereigns. Emoji's face revealed a proud smile and said, This brothel keeper's strength is pretty good now. But as long as Ancestor Divine Sun Transformation Realm, we will also be able to reach her realm. She is relying on Heaven Creation Divine Palace to enter Divine Heavenly Lord's final realm. That's why she is so arrogant. So many years. The Nine Nether Overlord, was also overthrown by them back then. Netherworld Great Emperor curled his lips and said, Fortunately, my adopted son is very powerful now, otherwise I would be in danger in the future. Emoji's expression suddenly became solemn and said, Can Xiaofun really take down the Heavenly Law Pawnshop? Heaven Creation Divine Palace is already determined to win, and we don't have any helpers on our side. Even if we can take down the Heavenly Law pawnshop, will we be able to leave Heavenly Divine Moon? Netherworld Great Emperor said, Don't look at me, ask Tiandaozi and Yunlong. Tiandaozi rubbed his bald head, then shook his head and said, I am also not sure. It is not easy to guess what this Uncle Qin is doing. Is he still Saint God Realm? Emoji asked again. Yes. Yunlong nodded, he saw Qin Yun not long ago. That's bad. They both have 10 Tao images, but heavenly venerable sovereigns are already divine heavenly lord. Why is Xiao Fuyun still climbing Saint God Realm? Emoji said very anxiously. Tiandaozi sighed and said, We don't have many experts on our side. Sorrowful Madam's side has a lot of experts, this is dangerous. If Mother Moon was still alive, we might be able to ask her for help and borrow the power of Heavenly Divine Moon. But now, no one can use the power of Heavenly Divine Moon. Emoji let out a long sigh and said, What exactly is Xiao Fuyun doing? We need to quickly find him and have a talk. Alright. Qin Yun and Yushang Yun are together, they are indeed carefree and happy, sleeping soundly in the bosom of the tyrannical Empress Yushang Yun. Yushang Yun looked at the man in her bosom, her mood is very complicated. She also can't say what kind of feeling she has towards Qin Yun. Is he cultivating the Nether Sun Tao image? Directly evolving the Nether Sun Tao image into the sacred Heavenly Tao image? How did he do it? Yushang Yun is still cultivating with Qin Yun. She looked at the sleeping Qin Yun with frown. She doesn't know what kind of state Qin Yun is in right now. She suddenly became somewhat worried. Just as she is feeling puzzled, she suddenly saw many black runes appear on Qin Yun's back. This is Nether Sun Totem? It doesn't look like it. Yushang Yun is suddenly alarmed. However, at the same time, the people of Bright Moon City let out a burst of exclamations, because the 3 myriad realms divine suns in the distance are now turning black bit by bit. Yushang Yun took out the sound transmission divine pearl, and received the message from Bing Xing, Sister Shang Yun. The 3 myriad realms divine suns have turned black. What's going on? Bing Xing asked. Is Xiao Yun beside you? Ask him what's going on, he might know. He is in seclusion cultivation, he is right beside me. Yushang Yun said with frown. It's not convenient to talk to him right now. Qin Yun is currently sleeping soundly in her bosom. Chapter 2509. The intense light emitted by the 3 myriad realms divine suns can illuminate a large area of the surrounding dark void. Now that the myriad realms divine suns have turned black, it also caused the world to turn pitch black. Although the heaven's divine moon can emit moonlight, the surface of the divine moon earth is also dark and lifeless. No one knows what caused the myriad realms divine suns to suddenly turn black. Qin Yun is currently leaning on Yushang Yun's body, his face is pressed against her chest. He is sleeping soundly in a wonderful fragrance and gentleness. Yushang Yun looked at the sleeping Qin Yun and gently touched the black runes on his back. She did not sense any aura. This guy, how long is he going to sleep? Will he be able to wake up before the Heavenly Tao pawn shop meeting begins? Yushang Yun can only maintain this state. She doesn't dare to move recklessly, she is worried that she will disturb Qin Yun's cultivation. I wonder if he is cultivating or if he is deliberately pretending. Yushang Yun is also letting her imagination run wild. She is currently in a very intimate state with Qin Yun. Qin Yun is indeed cultivating, he has completely entered a strange state. His soul is using all of its power to control the little nether sun inside the 9 sun divine soul. The little nether sun is like a terrifying millstone, it is madly grinding the tens of thousands of divine universe golden stones, causing the inside of the nether sun to burst out with small flashes. The little nether sun created by Siekiru is indeed very powerful. Qin Yun also doesn't know if his own nether sun or the little nether sun is stronger. Ling Yuner also has a little nether sun, but it is not as powerful as the one created by Siekiru. The little nether sun inside the nine sun divine soul is now connected to the heavenly hat. It also has its own sun soul. The little nether sun seems to be very hungry. It is crazily devouring the divine universe golden stones to strengthen itself. While devouring a large amount of divine universe golden stones, the little nether sun seems to be eating too fast, as if it is bloated. From time to time, it would burp and then spew out a very powerful nether sun storm. At this moment, Qin Yun used his heavenly soul and heavenly soul to draw out the nether sun storm from the nine sun divine soul and guide it into his imperial heaven heart to cultivate his nether sun Tao image. His nether sun Tao image is inside the sacred tribulation gate. The sacred tribulation gate is inside his body. Now it is wide open and absorbing the energy of the nine sun divine soul. As they continue to evolve and become stronger, the 3 myriad worlds' divine suns gradually darkened. Yu Shangyun once again received a message from Bing Xing through the sound transmission divine pearl. Sister Shangyun, the 3 myriad realms' divine suns stopped rotating. It's like they suddenly extinguished. Bing Xing said, I don't know what will happen if this continues. By the way, has Xiao Yun come out of seclusion? He is cultivating the nether sun Tao image. I suspect that it might be related to the nether sun Taoist idol he cultivates. Yu Shangyun's expression was also somewhat grave as she said, I will continue to pay attention to his situation. You don't have to worry. He is a young spirit. With the Divine King heavenly seal in hand, it should be normal for him to trigger such a phenomenon. And take good care of Xiao Yun, Bing Xing warned. After cutting off the connection, Yu Shangyun felt that Bing Xing's words were somewhat strange. She could not help but think to herself, could it be that Bing Xing knows that I'm with Qin Yun? She shook her head and sighed. It seems like sooner or later, I won't be able to hide the matter between me and him. A woman's sixth sense is too strong. Even if Qin Yun told others about his relationship with Yu Shangyun, no one would believe it. Because those who have come into contact with Yu Shangyun all know that this overbearing empress would definitely not so casually follow others. And in fact, she is currently together with Qin Yun. Not only is she not against Qin Yun, she even feels that this kind of feeling is pretty good. Suddenly, Qin Yun's body moved and he opened his eyes. When Yu Shangyun saw his eyes, she could not help but cry out in alarm. Because Qin Yun's eyeballs have disappeared, as if they have been melted by a black liquid. Now they are emitting black gas. Qin Yun, what happened to you? Yu Shangyun shouted in alarm. I'm fine. Qin Yun gritted his teeth and said, my nether sun is about to evolve. Sister Shangyun, quickly get away from me. No. I want to continue cultivating with you. Yu Shangyun recalled Bing Xing's words from before, telling her to take good care of Qin Yun. Not only did she not move away from Qin Yun, she even hugged him tightly. My condition is unstable, quickly leave. Qin Yun's voice became somewhat hoarse. Then I can't leave even more. Yu Shangyun closed her eyes and circulated the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra, allowing the divine power in her body to enter Qin Yun's body. She also felt that Qin Yun is crazily devouring her divine power. Not good. At this moment Yu Shangyun heard a light shout. Ling Yuner came out. When Yu Shangyun suddenly saw this beautiful and charming long-legged fairy, she was also startled. Because she was currently cultivating intimately with Qin Yun. Being seen by an outsider, she was momentarily caught unprepared. Sister Shangyun, I am Xiao Yun's fairy. Ling Yun hurriedly said, Xiao Yun is out of control now. What's going on with him? Yu Shangyun said coldly. There's an external force interfering, causing him to become like this. Ling Yun hurriedly said, Sister Shangyun, you'd better fuse your soul with his. What external force is interfering? Yu Shangyun had heard of Ling Yun-er's existence before, but she had never seen it with her own eyes. She also knew that Ling Yun-er was also helping Qin Yun. I don't know either. Ling Yun-er is very anxious, she urged. Sister Shangyun, quickly use your soul to help him. He is no match for you in terms of soul. Alright. Yu Shangyun hugged Qin Yun tightly, then focused her mind and released her powerful soul. Through the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra, she fused with Qin Yun's soul. She immediately discovered that Qin Yun's soul is being devoured by something. That's a descendant of the Divine Sun? Yu Shangyun has been in the 9 heavens for many years, so she naturally knew about the situation of the 9 heavens' heavenly Divine Sunday. It was devoured by a descendant of the Divine Sun, causing the 9 heavens to fall into destruction. Qin Yun actually has a descendant of the Divine Sun in his body, and his soul is being devoured. These guys are everywhere. Yu Shangyun immediately realized that when Qin Yun's nether sun evolved, it was too powerful and attracted the attention of the descendant of the Divine Sun. Furthermore, it pierced through space and came here. This is simply inconceivable. Scram! Yu Shangyun is the Divine Moon Race's Empress. Her soul is extremely powerful. Even if she can't destroy the soul of the descendant of the Divine Sun, capturing those souls is not a problem. After the powerful soul of the descendant of the Divine Sun was intimidated by Yu Shangyun, she put it into a small bag. Soon after, Qin Yun's condition gradually stabilized and black runes continued to grow on his body. You are Yun-er, right? Yu Shangyun looked at the long-legged fairy floating in the air. And then I won't disturb you anymore. I'll leave now. Although Ling Yun-er is a rogue fairy, she didn't dare to look around in front of this domineering empress. Have you slept with him? Yu Shangyun asked very directly, causing Ling Yun-er to be somewhat stunned for a moment. And Ling Yun-er lowered her head and said in a low voice, at this moment, she is actually very shy. She is also suppressed by Yu Shangyun's aura. Don't talk nonsense about the matter between me and him, Yu Shangyun warned. Alright, go back and rest. You look very tired. Ling Yun-er was also secretly helping Qin Yun resist the external force, but she did not succeed. Therefore, she had no choice but to come out and ask Yu Shangyun for help. Thank you, Sister Shangyun. Ling Yun-er nodded, then returned to the sacred tribulation gate and returned to Qin Yun's body. Qin Yun gradually woke up. His eyes have already returned to their original state and the black runes on his body have also disappeared. He opened his eyes and saw a beautiful and slightly dignified face in front of him. He immediately remembered that he was still hugging Yu Shangyun. Are you done? Yu Shangyun asked. There is a descendant of the Divine Sun soul that wants to devour your soul. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't know, I only felt that it was a very dangerous thing. It was actually the soul of a descendant of the Divine Sun. Qin Yun also slightly hugged Yu Shangyun. He really didn't know. It's fine now. Have you broken through? Yu Shangyun stared at Qin Yun's eyes and asked. And thank you. Qin Yun nodded. You're welcome, Yu Shangyun said softly. She and Qin Yun's 4 eyes met, their gazes seemed to collide. Unknowingly, Qin Yun kissed her red lip. Yu Shangyun and Qin Yun had been together for so long, but this was the first time they kissed each other so affectionately. After the kiss, Yu Shangyun let out a light snort. Without saying anything, she got up and walked to the bath. Qin Yun followed and walked down the bath. He said with a smile, Sister Shangyun, thank you very much this time. The way you thank others is to kiss them, right? Yu Shangyun said indifferently. Of course not. Qin Yun said. No matter what, you are already my man. As my man, the pressure on my shoulders is very great. Yu Shangyun looked at Qin Yun and said, Are you prepared for this? Are you willing to face all the difficulties with me? Yes. Qin Yun did not hesitate. All right, after you take down the Heavenly Law pawnshop, I will enter the moon's core and join hands with Xiao Rou to control the divine moon of the heavens. As for you, you must take good care of the divine moon clan for me and become the acting emperor of the divine moon clan. Yu Shangyun said. This. I will become the emperor of the divine moon clan? Qin Yun was startled and said in a low voice, But I'm a man. You are my man. You being the emperor of the divine moon clan is not a problem. Yu Shangyun said, I have always been unable to let go of the divine moon clan, so I can't leave. However, I trust you and am willing to hand the divine moon clan over to you. Qin Yun never expected that he would become the emperor of the divine moon clan. He took a deep breath and said seriously, I am willing to be the emperor of the divine moon clan for a period of time. You can rest assured. Yu Shangyun nodded in satisfaction and said, All right, after you return, go to the divine moon heaven city to take up your post. I will give you a token to make them trust you. Qin Yun looked around and said, Sister Shangyun, what about the descendants of the divine sun clan? Did you destroy them? Chapter 25:10 Yu Shangyun placed the soul of the divine sun descendant she caught into Qin Yun's soul creation heavenly cauldron and asked, Can this small cauldron of yours really suppress the soul of a divine sun descendant? Yes. I've imprisoned more than 10 of them before. Qin Yun said with a smile, I've already dealt with those 10. Yu Shangyun was somewhat astonished when she heard this and asked doubtfully, Dealt with? How did you deal with it? The soul of this divine sun descendant cannot be completely destroyed. Oh right, did the bright moon sect leader and the sad emperor open the amethyst coffin I sold them? Qin Yun asked. Not yet. Yu Shangyun shook her head. Wang Haoyue came to me a few times and asked me to help him open it. I didn't help him and I can't help him. Qin Yun said with a smile, They are even worse than I imagined. Yu Shangyun asked, How did you deal with the soul of the divine sun descendant? Soon after, Qin Yun talked about the soul lost due. Only now did Yu Shangyun know that Qin Yun had obtained the soul lost due from the amethyst coffin. After hearing this, Yu Shangyun sighed inwardly. Qin Yun's actions were always so sinister. Even if the sad emperor and Wang Haoyue opened the amethyst coffin, they would only obtain a piece of paper in the end. Although the secret recipe for the soul lost due was written on that piece of paper, it would definitely be very difficult to make. I haven't studied how to make it yet. I think I should be able to make it. Qin Yun kept the soul creation heavenly cauldron. You can even refine the sacred Tao divine pill that I created. It should only be a matter of time before you make the soul lost due. Yu Shangyun was even more at ease as she handed the divine moon clan over to Qin Yun. Sister Shangyun, how did you get that bag? To be able to trap the soul of a divine sun descendant, it's pretty amazing. Qin Yun said. When I was in the 9 heavens, I was the 9 heavens goddess. This was created by the divine sun palace of the heavenly universe divine sun. Yu Shangyun took out the small white bag. It looked like a storage bag and was very small. Divine Sun Palace of the Heavenly Universe Divine Sun? Is it still in the 9 heavens? Qin Yun asked. Not anymore. Yu Shangyun shook her head. After the Divine Sun Palace was destroyed, the 9 heavens began to turn into hell. At that moment, Qin Yun took out a sound transmission divine pearl. Many people were looking for him, mainly to ask about the Divine Sun's mutation. He immediately replied that he didn't know. Then, Yun Long and Tian Dao Zi left a message saying that Emoji and the Netherworld Great Emperor had arrived and were in the Heavenly Law Altar. Qin Yun replied to Yun Long and said that he will go to the Heavenly Law Altar very soon. When my nether sun broke through, 3 myriad worlds' divine suns turned black. What is going on? Qin Yun said with frown. You don't know either? Yu Shangyun thought that Qin Yun knew a little. Qin Yun shook his head and stirred the fragrant water in the bathtub. He said, I was in a daze at that time. He really liked to take a bath together with Yu Shangyun, because it was very fragrant and comfortable, and he could also admire such a great beauty. And after bathing, the fragrance on his body would be removed, as if it had been recycled by Yu Shangyun. I want to go to the heavenly altar. Qin Yun is still soaking in the bath. After Yu Shangyun left the bath, the wonderful fragrance disappeared. Yu Shangyun took out some clothes and slowly put them on in front of Qin Yun. Her posture is very elegant and beautiful, causing Qin Yun to be somewhat absent-minded. I'll go with you to the heavenly law altar. After Yu Shangyun put on a set of tight clothes, she began to wear the black armor. All right. Qin Yun immediately came out of the bath and put on a rather ordinary gray gown. He changed his appearance and then took out the hat and put it on. The hat was gray before, but now it has turned black. Although it is still a peaked cap, its shape and size have been changed, so it doesn't look the same as before, and Wang Haoyue won't recognize it. When Qin Yun entered the Bright Moon City, he did not wear the heaven-trampling divine boot. The main reason was that others could see that he is a sun soul. However, no one would be able to see through this hat. Qin Yun also discovered that the hat has a very strong self-defense ability. In other words, if someone hit his head, the hat would immediately release energy to resist. This is a good thing for explosion-proof. After your Nether Sun Dao image transformed into the sacred heavenly Dao image, your strength has increased by quite a bit, right? Yu Shangyun said. Although you are still at the sacred god realm, you are definitely no longer afraid of Shin Tianjuan's heavenly sovereign. Forget about the heavenly sovereign himself. Even if he and his mother join hands to kill me, they won't be able to succeed. Although Qin Yun's Dao image has evolved very quickly, it is not weak at all. During this period of time, any one of the evolved Divine Dragon Dao image, Divine Moon Dao image, and Nether Sun Dao image can cause a great commotion. What kind of ability will your Nether Sun Dao image bring you? Yu Shangyun is very curious about this because no one has ever cultivated the Nether Sun Dao image to this level. Gravity. Qin Yun spoke and released gravity to envelop Yu Shangyun. Yu Shangyun immediately floated up. Yu Shangyun let out a light snort and released an extremely strong divine power to stabilize her weightless body on the ground. Just as she landed on the ground, Qin Yun immediately changed the gravity, making Yu Shangyun's body suddenly become extremely heavy. Yu Shangyun was originally releasing her divine power to resist the weightlessness, but now the gravity on her body suddenly increased by several times. This caused her to suffer a certain impact for a moment. In other words, even someone at her level would need 1 or 2 seconds to react after being controlled by Qin Yun's gravity in an instant. In this very short period of time, she might even be beaten up. Is that all? Yu Shangyun said. This is my most basic. Qin Yun laughed and said, I have many ways to use gravity. I also have a move called Heaven and Earth Unification. When gravity attacks from both sides, it can crush people into meat patties. Apart from gravity and devouring, is there anything else? Yu Shangyun is very curious. Space distortion. Qin Yun spoke and opened his palm towards the front. A black mark appeared on his palm. The power of the Nether Sun is being activated. And the space in front of him also gradually became distorted. Release your divine power to attack me, Qin Yun said. Yu Shangyun gently raised her hand and shot out divine power to attack Qin Yun. Originally it was a straight attack on Qin Yun, but because the space has been distorted, when the divine power approached Qin Yun, it suddenly bent and circled around Qin Yun's body. I knew this move before, but it was somewhat difficult to use it. Moreover, facing Shin Tianjuan's divine power, it was immediately defeated. Qin Yun said, Now it should be more stable. Nether Sun is truly a good thing. Yu Shangyun is also somewhat envious. Let's go to the heavenly law altar, Qin Yun said with smile and then left with Yu Shangyun. Ming Yongtian and Ming Yunyue are both at the Crystal Moon Lane, as well as the heavenly evil martial god. When Qin Yun and Ming Yunyue came out, they saw the three of them smoking unfettered smoke in the living room of the Crystal Moon Lane. Ming Yunyue still doesn't know that Qin Yun refined this unfettered smoke. She thought that Qin Yun obtained special supply smoke. "Old cousin, you finally came out," Ming Yongtian said with smile. "Our bright moon city already has 3 teleportation formations that lead to Heavenly God Desolate. In the future, I can also frequently go there to do business. This is very good. When I have time, I will take you to Heavenly God Desolate for a stroll." Qin Yun still has many transcending space divine stone in his hands. He plans to use them to make teleportation formations. "I want to go out for a while. Tian Sha Yunyue, come with me." Qin Yun spoke and threw a small amount of unfettered smoke to Ming Yongtian, sending him away. Ming Yunyue knows a lot of things about Qin Yun, but she never told anyone. When she saw Qin Yun wearing a cap, she knew that Wang Haoyue's sun soul has been resurrected by Qin Yun. "Are we going to deal with that sad old slut?" Heavenly evil martial god is already somewhat impatient. "Not yet for the time being, but we will have to face her very soon." When Qin Yun talked about this matter, the pressure is also quite great because he will have to face many experts soon. Qin Yun and Yu Shangyun are sitting in Yu Shangyun's carriage. Heavenly evil martial god is walking at the very front. They left the city together and headed towards the Heavenly Law Altar. The Heavenly Law Altar is not far from Bright Moon City. After exiting the city gate, one can see a huge altar that is as large as a mountain in front of them. In the divine desolate land, the Heavenly Law Altar is also quite famous because Tian Daozi often controls this altar to run around. Heavenly evil martial god is walking in front. He is still a distance away from the Heavenly Law Altar, but he suddenly stopped. "Someone is following us." Heavenly evil martial god came to the side of the carriage and said to the people inside. Ming Yunyue looked at Qin Yun and Yu Shangyun and said in a low voice, "Who are they following? And who sent people to follow us?" "Brother Heavenly Evil, are the people following us Bright Moon sect disciples?" Qin Yun asked. "No. They have the aura of the 9 heavens divine race on them." Heavenly evil martial god said, "Their strength can't be considered very strong, but they know how to follow us. I only know that someone is following us, but I can't lock onto their position." "Even using a soul tracking tool, you can't detect them?" As Ming Yunyue spoke, she took out a disc and probed the surrounding souls. However, she did not detect any souls nearby. Qin Yun closed his eyes. Through the heavenly hat, he released a very strong soul power that enveloped the surrounding land. Very quickly, he locked onto a location. "There are 3 people hidden deep underground." "Underground?" Qin Yun said. "I'll go get them." Qin Yun walked out of the carriage. Ming Yunyue, Yu Shangyun and the heavenly evil martial god followed behind Qin Yun. Qin Yun arrived above the ground where the 3 people were and used the heaven extinguishing 9 fingers, piercing heaven finger power to strike the ground. Bang! A deep crater appeared on the ground. Soon after, Qin Yun released gravity and enveloped the 3 people, pulling them up from the bottom of the deep crater. The 3 people were severely injured by Qin Yun's piercing heaven finger power. When they were pulled up by gravity, they were bleeding from their 7 orifices, but they did not die. Is this the level of the divine kingdom? How can the people sent to follow me be Tao God realm? Are you looking down on me? Ming Yunyue coldly looked at the 3 heavily injured people. Who sent you? Heavenly evil martial god's body is filled with baleful aura as he spoke to the 3 people in a deep voice. Lay. Thunderous sovereign king. He told us to follow Saintess Yunyue. One of them shouted in fright because of the heavenly evil martial god. Ming Yunyue gritted her teeth and said fiercely, "This guy's subordinate stole my ship last time. I still haven't settled this debt with him, and he actually followed me." Does he think that he can do whatever he wants just because he has the support of the heavenly sovereigns? Chapter 25:11. Seeing that Qin Yun was going to take action personally, Ming Yunyue and Heaven Fiend Battle God were somewhat worried. From their point of view, it would still be difficult for Qin Yun to defeat thunder-crazed Sovereign King. Sovereign King Lei Kuang was, after all, a powerful subordinate of an Empyrean supremacy. They believed that it would be very difficult for Qin Yun to fight an expert of that level head-on. Yu Shangyun was not worried. She believed that Qin Yun's current strength was enough to defeat the thunder-crazed Sovereign King. Qin Yun's current strength is no longer as weak as when he first came to the myriad heaven's divine moon. Later on, he made 2 Tao statues evolve into sacred heavenly Tao statues and also cultivated 2 heavenly soul and heavenly soul. Brother, let me do it. The Heaven Fiend Battle God took out the saber that Qin Yun had given him. He had named it the Heaven Fiend Divine Saber. He also wanted to test the might of this saber. I just broke through, I want to test my current strength. If I'm no match for him, then you can make your move. Qin Yun could not help but laugh when he saw the Tiansha Battle Immortal's eager expression. The Wild Thunder Sovereign King, who was rushing over, didn't know that he had become the target of 2 people fighting over him. Alright, if you can't beat me, I'll make a move. The Tiansha Battle Immortal was very confident in his own abilities. He felt that he was the strongest among them. Ming Yunyue was not weak either. She was the Bright Moon Sect's Saint Lady. However, if they were to go all out, she was not confident that she could defeat the Tiansha Battle Immortal. Of course, Yu Shangyun was very strong, but she was not confident that she could defeat the war god of the Bright Moon Clan, who was not afraid of death. The Tiansha Battle Immortal was a disciple of the Bright Moon Sect. He had been through hundreds of battles and was not afraid of death. This kind of person was the scariest. Therefore, when Qin Yun went to the meeting, he brought the Heaven Fiend Battle God with him. That way, he would have a guarantee. Ever since the All-Sky Supremacy Sovereigns came to Bright Moon City, the people from the All-Sky Divine Nation have become more and more arrogant. They think that the All-Sky Supremacy Sovereigns are invincible and can protect them. The Tiansha Battle Immortal cursed in a low voice as he looked in the direction of the Wild Thunder Sovereign King. The Wild Thunder Sovereign King's aura was very strong. From afar, he released his tyrannical aura, which was like a ferocious thunder roaring over. Thunderous Sovereign King, who was flying over, was like a thunderbolt striking the ground. After a flash of lightning, a tall middle-aged man appeared. Thunder-crazed Sovereign King's body was covered in white armor that flickered with lightning. He held a powerful lightning spear in his hand, and his eyes were filled with lightning as he glared at Ming Yunyue and the others. Woman, you killed so many of my subordinates before, and now you're attacking my subordinates again. Are you asking for a beating? Lei Kuang King said in a sinister and angry manner. The lightning spear in his hand seemed like it was going to pierce through at any moment. I killed more than half of your subordinates who robbed my ship last time. The rest were killed by that old 5th elder. Why don't you go find him? Ming Yunyue also said angrily. Now you sent these 3 idiots to follow me. So what if I attack them? What's the matter? Damn slut, I'll stab your mouth until it's rotten. Lei Kuang King furiously shouted. The thunder spear in his hand pierced towards Ming Yunyue like a bolt of lightning. Because Qin Yun had said that he wanted to use this Lei Kuang to practice, Ming Yunyue held back her anger and did not make a move. Otherwise, she would have flipped out long ago. Sovereign King Lei's lightning spear pierced out. Not only was its speed fast, but its divine power was also extremely violent, causing the ground to crack apart. Ming Yunyue knew that Qin Yun would attack, but she hurriedly dodged to prevent herself from being injured. Although the lightning spear was ferociously thrusting out, the spearhead was suddenly grabbed by someone. Qin Yun was actually barehanded. He grabbed the ferocious lightning spearhead tightly, causing Sovereign King Lei to be unable to retract the lightning spear for a moment. Qin Yun is now using all of his sacred heavenly Tao statues, transforming them into Imperial Heaven Divine Power through the Imperial Heaven Heart. This divine power looks ordinary and faint, but it contains boundless power. When condensed in Qin Yun's hand, it is as if he can control everything in the world. When the lightning spear was grabbed by Qin Yun, it was as if it had suddenly lost its soul. Although the lightning was still exploding, the lightning spear's overbearing aura was instantly extinguished. A powerful divine weapon has a soul. Without a soul, a powerful divine weapon would not have enough power. What did you do?" Sovereign King Lei Kuang said angrily. He never expected that someone would dare to use their bare hands to grab his lightning spear. Furthermore, it was the strongest spearhead. Not only Sovereign King Lei Kuang, even the heavenly evil battle god, Ming Yunyue and Yu Shangyun, did not expect Qin Yun's body to be so strong. He is not afraid of this kind of divine weapon at all. Yu Shangyun has shared a bed with Qin Yun several times. She also knows how powerful Qin Yun's body is. However, she never expected that it would be comparable to the weapon in the hands of a sovereign king. Is this the level of the weapons under the command of the heavenly sovereigns? Qin Yun mocked. "Bastard, go to hell!" Sovereign King Lei Kuang roared angrily. He waved his thick and long arm like a giant axe and chopped down on Qin Yun's head. Qin Yun grabbed the lightning spear and is very close to Sovereign King Lei Kuang. It is not a good thing to fight a power-type expert in close combat. Sovereign King Lei Kuang raised his hand and unleashed an extremely powerful strike. His palm blade brought along a violent thunder. It emitted an earth-shattering sound of thunder and heavily struck Qin Yun's head. Boom! At the same time, it is as if lightning fireworks blossomed above Qin Yun's head. Glaring lightning flashed, accompanied by an incomparably berserk energy wave. It struck the ground and created a huge crater. After Sovereign King Lei Kuang finished this attack, he is completely dumbfounded. He and Qin Yun are at the bottom of the crater. The heavenly fiend battle god and the others are floating around and watching. They are also extremely shocked. Qin Yun's head was hit by Sovereign King Lei Kuang with all his strength, but he is actually completely fine. Only Ming Yunyue knows that the hat on Qin Yun's head is the heaven cap formed by the Sun Soul. This hat was previously Wang Haoyue's and only revived in Qin Yun's hands. Not only did Qin Yun revive the heaven cap, he also made the heaven cap become the Sun Soul of the Little Nether Sunday. Moreover, it has grown a lot stronger along with the Little Nether Sunday. The Little Nether Sun swallowed tens of thousands of divine universe golden stones and became one size bigger. As the Sun Soul of the Little Nether Sun, the heaven cap naturally grew as well. Only now did the heavenly fiend battle god realize that he had completely underestimated this mysterious old cousin. Ming Yunyue saw Qin Yun kill a mysterious and powerful law enforcement great sovereign, but that was when the law enforcement great sovereign was defenseless. And now, facing Sovereign King Lei Kuang, the opponent is fully prepared. Who are you? You are only Sacred God Realm? Sovereign King Lei Kuang suddenly thought of something. The reason why all the heavenly sovereigns came to the divine moonland was to go to the heavenly Tao pawnshop for a meeting. They were waiting for Qin Yun to come with 2 heavenly Tao blood medallion. Sovereign King Lei Kuang also knows about this matter, and everyone knows that Qin Yun is a sacred god. There is only one person in the sacred god realm who is so terrifying, and that is Qin Yun. Just as Sovereign King Lei Kuang is feeling shocked, he suddenly felt his body involuntarily float up. Qin Yun used gravity to make Sovereign King Lei Kuang's body weightless. Let's see how strong my Nether Sun is. Qin Yun thought in his heart and then used all his strength to activate the Nether Sun's power. Just as Sovereign King Lei Kuang's body floated up, his entire body seemed to have been stretched. He was originally 2 meters tall, but now he has been stretched to 3 meters long, as if he has been twisted. Not only has he been stretched out, he has also been stretched out. The lightning spear wrapped around him is like dough, it is being stretched out in all directions. Yu Shangyun and the other two at the side saw Sovereign King Lei Kuang, a living person, being pulled into a piece of skin. Their scalps can't help but go numb. And the most terrifying thing is that Qin Yun then kneaded the stretched Sovereign King Lei Kuang into a ball and threw it into the air, as if he was making mud. Then he took out his God King spear. The God King spear is now in pistol form. Qin Yun took out the spear in a confident and unrestrained manner and fired a shot at the lump in the sky. Level 1 Divine Universe Gold shot out and pierced through the lump of Sovereign King Lei Kuang. Then it exploded and a large amount of fragments scattered down. Sovereign King Lei Kuang is finished just like that. The corner of Heavenly Evil Martial Immortal's mouth twitched. He has seen many people kill people, but this is the first time he has seen someone play this kind of trick. If it was a weaker person, it would be normal for Qin Yun to play with them like this. But that is Sovereign King Lei Kuang, one of the most powerful subordinates of sovereign emperors. He was kneaded into a ball and then thrown into the air to explode with a single shot. What they don't know is that Qin Yun's Imperial Heaven Divine Power can restrain 9 heavens divine race and 9 heavens demon race. That's why Qin Yun could knead a 9 heavens divine race sovereign king into a ball like he was kneading mud. Old brother Heavenly Evil, you won't have a chance to make a move, Qin Yun said with smile. All the divine nation's people are so arrogant, I will have a chance in the future. Heavenly Evil Martial Immortal sheathed his saber. He secretly rejoiced that he did not fight with Ming Yunyue in Crystal Moon Lane. Otherwise, he might have been kneaded into a ball by Qin Yun. Yu Shangyun saw Qin Yun's strength and felt even more relieved. Even if Qin Yun could not defeat the sovereign emperors, he would not be killed by them. According to the records in the Heavenly Law Dao tradition, Qin Yun would be personally killed by the sovereign emperors and then devoured. Now this is no longer possible. Of course, if someone else helped the sovereign emperors, it is still possible. However, the Heavenly Law Dao tradition clearly states that Qin Yun was killed by the sovereign emperors. Let's go to the Heavenly Law altar, Qin Yun said and directly flew towards the Heavenly Law altar. They quickly arrived at the Heavenly Law altar. Ming Yunyue and Heavenly Evil Martial Immortal are waiting at the entrance of the Heavenly Law altar. Qin Yun and Yu Shangyun walked in. Just as he entered, Qin Yun saw Mog, the old lady with an extremely good temperament. She just took a drag of her cigarette and then skillfully flicked away the ash. Netherworld Great Emperor has already cut off his beard and is smoking. It seems like he cut off his beard to make it more convenient for him to smoke. And even the baldy Tian Dao Zi is infatuated with the Xiao Yao smoke. He squinted his eyes and crossed his legs to smoke, looking like he is enjoying it very much. Yun Long chuckled and threw one to Qin Yun and said, "Boss, give me one. I have to say, the stuff made by the Bright Moon sect is really not bad. Lighting one can make people feel happy." When Qin Yun came in and smelled it, he knew that their Xiao Yao smoke is rather bad, much worse than the ones he made. However, it still made these smokers very happy. "Foster father, Granny Mog, I finally meet you." Qin Yun did not smoke, instead he walked over with a smile. Mog said with a smile, "Xiao Fuyun, why did you only appear now? Old Ghost Netherworld said that you have been having fun with women these past few days. Is that true?" Chapter 25:12. They knew a lot about the Divine Moon Clan's Empress. After all, she was a woman that all the Supremes in the heavens wanted very much, but now she was with Qin Yun. I have a rough understanding of the situation. The specifics will depend on the meeting, Qin Yun said. During the meeting, we should be able to take down the Heavenly Law pawnshop, but it won't be easy to leave the Divine Moonland. Yunlong nodded. That's what we're worried about. They have so many people on their side, and the heaven-creating God Palace seems to have an extremely good relationship with the Bright Moon sect. Any random disciple of the Bright Moon sect is a Lord of Heaven. It's too scary. Xiao Fuyun, we don't have many Shin Tianjun on our side. If we were to really fight, we wouldn't know how to deal with them. Netherworld Great Emperor said. However, we can hide inside the Heavenly Law pawnshop and control it to return to the heavenly deities. Huang. Tian Dao Zi shook his head and said, Master Qin only has 2 Heavenly Dao blood medallions. Including Boss Dongfang's, he only has 3. 3 Heavenly Law blood medallions are not enough to activate the entire Heavenly Law pawnshop's defense. Emoji also nodded and said, The Heavenly Law pawnshop's defense is very strong, but we are unable to completely open the Heavenly Law pawnshop's various enchantments unless we can obtain all the Heavenly Law blood medallions. Didn't you say that once you took control of the Heaven's Path pawnshop, you would be able to take full control of it? And all the Heavenly Dao blood tokens are needed? Qin Yun did not understand this. This was done by the previous Heavenly Dao in order to prevent the Heavenly Dao pawnshop from being completely controlled by them, so that they could restrain each other. Tian Daozi said, If the Heavenly Law pawnshop is unable to open all the enchantments, will it be destroyed by them? Yu Shangyun asked. Of course it will. The Divine Nations and the Heaven Creation God Palace are very strong. There are a lot of Lord of Heaven. It is impossible for the Heavenly Law pawnshop to return to the Divine Wasteland unscathed. Yunlong shook his head. This is also why they moved the Heavenly Law pawnshop to the Divine Moonland. The reason? What if I can borrow the power of the Heaven's Divine Moon? Yu Shangyun said. I can borrow the power of the Heaven's Divine Moon. The Divine Moon tokens in her and Qin Yun's hands were used for emergencies. Hearing Yu Shangyun's words, Emoji and Tian Daozi became somewhat excited. If that's the case, then we might as well take action now and borrow the power of the Divine Moon of the Heavens to exterminate those guys. Emoji said excitedly. Yu Shangyun was the Empress of the Divine Moon clan. When she said that she could borrow the power of the Divine Moon, no one doubted it. There's a time limit to how long I can borrow the power of the celestial moon. Furthermore, after using it once, it will take many years before it can be used again. Yu Shangyun shook her head. The time is relatively short. Before we borrow the power of the Divine Moon, we must carefully consider. Then after Boss takes control of the Heavenly Law pawnshop, he can borrow the power of the Divine Moon of the Heavens to protect the Heavenly Law pawnshop. This way, the Heavenly Law pawnshop can stably travel through space. This way, he can quickly return to the Heavenly Divine Desolate's Heavenly Sword formation. Yunlong said. The Heavenly Law pawnshop could travel through space, but before doing so, it needed time to prepare and ensure that the space was stable. Such a huge Heavenly Law pawnshop must not be affected by the space travel. The heaven-creating Divine Palace and the Divine Kingdom of Heavens could completely interrupt the Heavenly Law pawnshop's spatial travel, so they needed the help of the Divine Moon of Heavens. Let's do that. Yu Shangyun nodded. Granny Emoji, my parents went to a place. Do you know where it is? How are they now? Qin Yun had always been worried about this matter. My father was struck by that 9 Heavens Law curse. He needs to kill Divine King Jiangxian in order to remove the curse. I'm very worried about him. They went to the Ancient Desolate. Your lifeline is in the Ancient Desolate. Emoji said. In this life you were born to them. Only they can protect your lifeline. How can I go to the Ancient Desolate? Qin Yun asked. It used to be easy to go, but now I can't even find the way. Emoji shook her head, looked at Tian Daozi and asked, Damn Baldy, you should know, right? Tian Daozi rubbed his bald head and sighed. It's very difficult to go. Normally, people who can go to the Ancient Desolate have a pass. Master Qin, your parents got a pass from the Heavenly Law pawnshop, that's why they can go. Does the Heavenly Law pawnshop still have a pass? Qin Yun asked anxiously. I don't know. Maybe not anymore. Yun Long shook his head and said, This thing has always been very rare. Emoji comforted. Xiao Fuyun, nothing will happen to your parents, you can rest assured. In the ancient desolate, there are many old friends who will take care of them. That's good. Qin Yun sighed lightly and nodded. Come, I have something to discuss with you in secret. Emoji stood up and walked towards a secret room. Qin Yun followed Emoji and entered the secret room. There are some things that only the two of them can discuss in secret. This involves the secret of the 9 Sun Divine Spirit. Granny Emoji, my 9 Sun Divine Spirit still has 2 pearls that I haven't opened. Qin Yun entered and impatiently asked, How do I open them? Qin Yun has cultivated Heavenly Soul and Heavenly Soul, but he is still unable to open it. This kind of barrier is clearly not something that Emoji can set up. I don't know either. Emoji looked at the 9 Sun Divine Spirit on Qin Yun's wrist and said with a low snort, Xiao Fuyun, where is my family's Xiao Ro? I feel that her situation is not good, you didn't take good care of her. Emoji is Siekiru's mother, so she is naturally very worried about Siekiru. She's in the Moon Heart. Qin Yun simply explained his experience in the Moon Heart. When she learned that Qin Yun killed a law enforcer, Emoji was greatly frightened. She exclaimed, You killed a law enforcer? Or the mother of the sorrowful old madam? You are too reckless. It's fine, that guy isn't dead yet. She is the soul of a descendant of the Divine Sun, she can't be killed. Qin Yun said. Emoji pressed her hand on Qin Yun's shoulder, stared at him and asked, What is your relationship with the Divine Moon Clan's Emperor? The Divine Moon Clan's Emperor should be the goddess from above the 9 heavens, Tian Shixiang. She is Xiao Ro's good sister. This woman is not simple, don't anger her. Friends. Qin Yun replied calmly. Is she really a friend? I heard that she hates men. Emoji's face is filled with disbelief. You are not honest at all. Don't try to touch a girl just because she is beautiful. She is not someone to be trifled with. Granny Emoji, you really know a lot of things, Qin Yun said with a smile. How did you know that Sister Kiru was Tian Shiro in her past life? I know a lot of things. Emoji sighed and said, Back then, it was Xiao Ro who brought me into the Heavenly Law pawnshop. Then, my fate changed completely and it was mainly because of you. Me? Qin Yun frowned. The things inside your 9 Sun Divine Spirit, I put them in the front. And the big things at the back were not controlled by me. Emoji said. It was the Heavenly Law boss who put them in. Qin Yun looked at his 9 Sun Divine Spirit and said in shock, Then the 2 pearls at the back, what are they? Emoji shook her head and said, I don't know. I only know that the things inside the last 3 pearls are called Imperial Heaven Inheritance by the Heavenly Law boss. Especially the last 2 pearls, the things sealed inside each pearl are very special and there is more than one. This made Qin Yun even more curious. Unfortunately, he couldn't open it. When he opened the 7th pearl, he obtained the Imperial Heaven Heart. After fusing with the Imperial Heaven diagram, it allowed him to master the Imperial Heaven Divine Art and cultivate a powerful Imperial Heaven Divine Power. It was indeed the Imperial Heaven Inheritance. Tian Dao Zi gave me a key and said that it could open a secret room inside the Heavenly Law pawnshop. Granny Emoji, do you know where the secret room is? Qin Yun also took out the key. Of course I know. That secret room is hidden very well. Emoji looked at the key in Qin Yun's hand and said, Let's take down the Heavenly Law pawnshop and open it to take a look. Maybe the Heavenly Law boss left something behind. Say, is the Heavenly Law boss really dead? Qin Yun said, I have a feeling that it is impossible for an existence like him to die. The heavenly Tao is immortal, the heavenly Tao is eternal. Of course he isn't dead. As for how he is now, I really don't know. Emoji shook her head and said, in short, his state can't be judged by life and death. An existence like him might not even have life and death. This concept. Oh right, is it possible that the heavenly sovereigns are descendants of the Divine Son? Qin Yun had previously told Emoji about the law enforcement great sovereign. Emoji thought for a while. She didn't know much about these things because it involved the heaven creation god palace. It might be. Therefore, he doesn't have his own body. His current body should only be a container that can hold souls. Emoji said with a frown. If that's the case, then it will be difficult to deal with. Qin Yun is filled with curiosity about the heaven creation god palace. He said again, when you were with the heavenly law boss, did you hear anything about me? I seem to have been created by the heaven creation god palace. The heavenly law boss told me about this matter. He said that you were created by the heaven creation god palace to suffer in place of others. After you bear all the suffering for others, your soul will be devoured. This way, you will be able to smoothly inherit the heavenly law. Emoji said. Sure enough, I was actually created by someone else. Qin Yun said with emotion. Then is my soul really born out of thin air? Emoji is recalling, she walked back and forth a few steps and said, the heavenly law boss said that he participated in the creation of you. Moreover, over the years, he has witnessed many reincarnations of you and watched you grow up step by step, so he has some feelings for you. Love. So, he secretly guided me, causing my fate to not be controlled by the heaven creation god palace? Qin Yun let out a long sigh and said, my fate is actually being toyed with by others. Not at all. The heavenly law boss said that it was you who appeared first, which attracted his attention and made him want to help you. How should I say it, you were created by them and your fate was arranged by them. Originally, no power could change this, but you changed it yourself and broke the rules of the heavenly law Tao. When Emoji spoke of this matter, she was also quite emotional. After that, all the changes in the heavenly law Tao were caused by you. Afterwards, all the changes in the heavenly law Tao were caused by you. Chapter 25:13. After the secret conversation with Emoji, Qin Yun gained a clearer understanding of his own situation. Little floating cloud, boss heavenly law once said that your soul was created, so you belong to the category that shouldn't exist in the first place. You weren't born naturally. Therefore, the trajectory of your destiny was added on top of the heavenly rules and orthodoxy later on. Emoji said again. So that's how it is. Qin Yun is even more curious about the heavenly law Tao orthodoxy. He asked, who added it? Emoji said, they must have joined hands to add it. Furthermore, your fate is determined to be a very important part of the heavenly rules and orthodoxy. Therefore, if you deviate, the fates of all living beings that you come into contact with will be greatly changed because of you. Qin Yun thought of Boss Dongfang. He was the junior brother of the heavenly Tao, so he knew some things. That was why he wanted to get close to him and use him to change his fate. Because no matter who it was, no one would wish for their fate to be determined by the heavenly rule orthodoxy. As long as there was a slight deviation in the early stages, the deviation would only grow larger and larger in the future. Finally, one would be able to break away from the heavenly rule orthodoxy. They also realized that creating you was a huge mistake. It affected the entire heavenly rules orthodoxy, so they wanted to fix you. Emoji said, this is also the test you will face next. I'm not afraid of them. I'm just worried that the people around me will be harmed by them. After Qin Yun cultivated the Nether Sun Tao image, his strength increased a lot. Even if he doesn't have Shen Tianjuan's cultivation, he won't die that easily. If you can completely break free from their correction, then you might be able to do things that others can't. For example, completely annihilate the descendants of the Divine Son. Emoji said solemnly, "That's why the 9 sons have placed their hopes on you." In that case, Boss Heavenly Tao has interacted with the 9 sons? Qin Yun touched his 9 sons' divine soul. Emoji smiled and said, "Of course I have. I heard from the boss of the Heavenly Tao that even the 9 sons were affected by you. That's why their fates changed so much, allowing them to grow to their current state. It could be said that the future 9 divine sons of the myriad worlds, as well as the present the divine desolate heavens, was born because of you." Qin Yun was alarmed. He never thought that he would be able to affect the growth of the 9 sons. "But I can't communicate with the 9 sons. Qin Yun felt very regretful. "There must be a reason why the 9 sons aren't contacting you right now. Because even the 9 sons' existence is recorded in the Heavenly Rules Orthodoxy." Emoji said, "Therefore, if the 9 sons don't contact you, the influence between you will weaken. The Heavenly Rules Orthodoxy has sensed it." Qin Yun guessed that the true Heavenly Rule Tao Orthodoxy should be in the ancient Desolate, because back then, the Heaven Creation Divine Palace was in the ancient Desolate. The headquarters of the Heaven Creation God Palace is definitely in the mysterious ancient Desolate. Qin Yun's soul was created there back then, so his lifeline is also in the ancient Desolate. "Granny Temptress, have you heard Boss Tiandao talk about bloodline heavenly patterns?" Qin Yun asked. "Many people have heard about bloodline heavenly rune, but no one knows how to use it." Emoji frowned and said, "Tiandao boss said that even he doesn't know what it is and he can't get it. He only said that bloodline heavenly rune is a kind of thing that can defy the heavens and change fate. It is something that can create the heavens, one vein, one day. It seems like we have to think of a way to find the heavenly Tao boss. As long as he is not dead, he must still exist." Qin Yun feels that the Heavenly Tao definitely knows a lot of things. His state is definitely different from ours. Maybe he has already turned into a strand of energy and is floating in the endless starry sky? Emoji shook her head. Qin Yun touched the 9 Sun Divine Spirit on his wrist. He suddenly felt that if he opened the last 2 pearls, he might be able to find a clue to the Heavenly Tao. "I have said everything I need to say. I want to go out and smoke." Emoji already took out a cigarette and put it in her mouth. Qin Yun extended 2 fingers and condensed a flame to help her light the cigarette. He asked, "Where did this Xiao Yao smoke come from?" "That brat Ming Yongtian gave it to us." Emoji chuckled and said, "Xiao Yao smoke is really interesting. Smoking it can make people tremble with excitement." Qin Yun curled his lips and said, "This thing is addictive. If I touch it, it will be very difficult to quit. I won't smoke it." "Up to you." Emoji took a drag, then opened the door and went out. The hall outside is filled with faint smoke. Apart from Yu Shangyun, all the other smokers are smoking. Ming Yunyue and Heavenly Fiend Battle Immortal also came in. They are all Bright Moon Sect's disciples. It can be said that they have been smoking this thing since they were young. "Boss, don't you want one? It's very comfortable," Yun Long said with mischievous smile. Qin Yun created the unfettered smoke, but he never smoked it. He took out a few boxes and gave 1 box to each of them. Then he said, "This is for you. This is a special supply of cigarette. It is much better than those trash cigarettes you smoke." Special supply of cigarettes? There is such a thing? Netherworld Great Emperor hastily took one and sniffed it. Then he immediately realized that the Xiao Yao smoke given to him by Qin Yun is indeed much better than the ones from before. "Aya, you brat, why didn't you take out such a good thing earlier?" Emoji threw away the cigarette she just smoked and replaced it with the one Qin Yun gave her. "Where did this special supply of cigarettes come from? I've never heard of it." Heavenly Fiend Battle Immortal also got it from Ming Yongtian before, so he is very puzzled. Ming Yunyue said, "It was given to the Divine Moon Emperor by the sect leader." The group of smokers immediately looked at Yu Shangyun. They are also very puzzled. These special supply cigarettes should be very expensive. The Bright Moon sect leader gave it to Yu Shangyun, but she gave so much to Qin Yun. What is the relationship between the two of them? Yu Shangyun also heard about the special supply cigarettes, and is very curious where Qin Yun got them. Now that she heard that the special supply cigarettes were given to her by Wang Haoyue, she is immediately stunned, because Wang Haoyue has never given her any cigarettes before. She is wearing a helmet, so no one can see her shocked expression. Oh right, did the Bright Moon sect sell the Xiao Yao smoke to the Divine Desolate? Qin Yun asked, changing the topic. It has long been sold to the Divine Desolate. The ones they sell to the Divine Desolate are all of the poor quality, but they sell very well. Currently, the Divine Nations are selling them in the Divine Desolate. The price is very expensive. Ming Yunyue sighed and said, "This is a big business, it's too cheap. Those bastards from the Divine Nations." The Heavenly Evil Martial Immortal said, "Divine Moon Clan's Emperor, you are the sect leader's friend, you should find him to sell the goods. Let's talk about it later. After we take down the Heavenly Law pawnshop, I will go find Wang Haoyue and ask." Yu Shangyun also plans to do tobacco business. This is a huge profit, she can't let the Divine Nations monopolize it. Then let's go now. To the Heavenly Law pawnshop. Tian Daozi's face is full of smile. He feels that he will definitely be able to smoke special supply cigarettes in the future and it will be free. Under Tian Daozi's control, the Heavenly Law altar began to move towards the Heavenly Law pawnshop. Yun Long also contacted Boss Dongfang and asked him to come over. And Qin Yun released Dongfang Bing Bing. Seeing Qin Yun suddenly release such a beautiful woman, the smokers in the hall all looked at Qin Yun with mischievous smiles. Dongfang Bing Bing is doing quite well in the Nine Sun Divine Spirit. She is often together with Zi Qingqing and Shui Tianzi, so she is not bored. Ling Yun'er also came to play with her from time to time. She is also in charge of cigarettes in the Nine Sun Divine Spirit, so she knows where the unfettered smoke came from. When she came out, Qin Yun instructed her not to speak of it. Yun Long brought Boss Dongfang in. Both of them are holding cigarettes in their mouth. With a glance, it is clear that Yun Long saw Boss Dongfang and directly handed him a cigarette. If their relationship is good, handing over a cigarette upon meeting seems to have become a common practice. Qin Yun, who makes cigarettes but doesn't smoke, also saw a business opportunity. Because of the unfettered smoke, even many experts are gradually becoming infatuated with it. The unfettered smoke can make people's soul very relaxed and change people's emotions. As for whether it is harmful to the soul or not, Qin Yun is not sure. However, this thing is addictive. In his opinion, as long as there is addiction, there will be some disadvantages. Therefore, when Shui Tianzi and Ling Yun'er wanted to smoke the unfettered smoke, they were strictly stopped by him. In order to prevent them from secretly smoking, Qin Yun made them sign a soul contract. There is also that little girl Yang Yang, she actually secretly stole a cigarette to smoke. Fortunately, she coughed repeatedly and didn't continue. "Boss Dongfang, long time no see," Qin Yun said with a smile. "Boss Qin, I knew you would come." Although Boss Dongfang is smoking, his expression is somewhat serious. He said, "The current situation is not good for us." Qin Yun nodded and said, "I know. But don't worry, I will take care of it. You just need to hand over the authority of the Heavenly Law blood token to me." "No problem. I will definitely support you during the meeting." Boss Dongfang said, "We have 3 votes and they only have 2. We will definitely be able to take control of the Heavenly Law pawnshop." Tian Daozi said, "They should know that you will side with Master Qin, so they must have threatened you, right?" "I am not afraid of threats. I am the person who holds the heavenly law blood token. Even if they kill me, they won't be able to obtain the heavenly law blood token. Boss Dongfang smiled and said, Tian Daozi, your complexion is pretty good. Your control over the heavenly law altar is really getting stronger and stronger. Of course, Tian Daozi said with a beaming smile and proudly puffed out a smoke ring. Emoji, Netherworld Great Emperor, Tian Daozi, Yunlong, these are all very familiar faces to Boss Dongfang. Boss Dongfang is also very surprised. Qin Yun actually managed to gather all these people. This is... Boss Dongfang looked at Yushang Yun, who is wearing black armor from head to toe. Divine Moon Clan's Emperor. Emoji said. Ah, Boss Dongfang is shocked. Divine Moon Clan's Emperor is actually here. This made him feel even more relieved. The heavenly law altar has been moving all along. In front of them is a huge square building, lying on the divine moon's earth that is emitting silver light. This huge square building is the Heavenly Law Pawnshop. After arriving at the Heavenly Divine Moon, the outer wall unexpectedly became flickering with silver light. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.